All right, everybody, welcome to the cast assessment for Hypnotic Big Brother Season 6 Saloon Showdown. Um, as we are filming this, the season has not started yet. It is scheduled to start the next day. We were filming this the day before season starts. But by the time you guys are watching this, the season is already over. So let me just say, great job to the winner of the season. You crushed it this season. That was crazy what you did. And to everyone else, what the hell? You guys, you flopped. What I. Okay, anyway. So we are here to give our assessment of how we think the cast is going to do this season before we actually see them in action. And also, as you're watching this after the season, you already know that, surprise, this is a fans versus favorite season. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go through each group at a time. So we're going to start with the fans and then move on to the favorites after the fact. So with that, I think we can start. Oop, hello? With the fans. There we go. I'm gonna have to click this. My arrow keys weren't working. Starting with the fans, and our first fan in alphabetical order is Al, with the teal background that just won't quit.
Mind you, they're the only picture that's like this, and every other picture you were able to successfully get like the
Works fine, right? But
it
the
was fine.
teal, I just couldn't. There's only so much I could
The
do.
teal is too powerful. I have a short assessment of Al, and I have like an accurate assessment of Al. Which do I give first?
Is the short one inaccurate?
No, it's fuck Al. You got me on unplugged. Fuck you. I hope you fucking fail. That's
So
the short
real.
assessment.
So real.
Um, the accurate assessment is I mean Al explicitly said that they wanted to play because I was on prods. Like, I'm happy that they finally found time to be able to play. Um, I want to say, and I could be wrong, unless we're counting the protagonist, this is their first conventional Big Brother experience. We don't have really all that much present aside from the protagonist to go off of as to how well they would do in this format. Um, I'm going to preface this by saying how I personally think this season's going to go. I think the favorites are going to do better than the fans.
Yeah.
That's my predict. And here's my thing. The reason why I think that is just because I think that there is some of these fans who I think instead of gravitating towards each other will gravitate more towards the favorites. And I think Al is one of those people because I'm looking at kind of the favorites that we do have on board here. I could see a handful of people Al might find close confidants with. Whereas, Al's been in the community for quite some time now, has encountered, I think, a vast majority of the fans at some point. Whether it be playing Bodo with them, being hosted by them, or playing even within Distortion, they have a handful of people on this cast who they have played either All Stars or Thrilltopia with. And I don't know if they personally will have reservations for those specific individuals. And I think would rather venture off. They do mention in their interview how they kind of are loyal to a fault. And that might become a problem if they do kind of skew more towards the favorites. If I hope that this isn't just like a stagnant season where the favorites are working together because it's their favorites and not like organically seeing how the game plays out. I doubt that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be more fluid than that. But I could see a situation where Al might find themselves in a core alliance, kind of being like what Danny was, or I don't know if that would be the most apt comparison, but this is the concern I had with Danny. Like they would find themselves enslaved in a majority, but then the problem would be that they would be at the bottom of said group, in which persisted show their physical prowess when they're actually like trying. Um, yeah, no, just very excited to see Al play.
Um, okay. I kind of disagree. I don't think it's gonna just be like a steamroll of the favorites. Because I feel like, especially for our fans, we have a good number of people that are going to be totally fine calling people out on their bullshit. And I think Al is one of those people. In particular, we played one game before, and like we were working together. I don't know how tightly, but like, we were, and even to me, they would like call me out on some stuff, but doing so in a way that wasn't like, that didn't turn me into like, oh, I gotta like turn against this person. So I'm not gonna count Ali out just yet. Um, yeah, they said I'm always going to be a villain to somebody, but usually play a hero game. So I'm expecting Al to have their enemies, but also have they're like the people that they're loyal to, um, but not to a fault. You know what I mean? Willing to move around. Maybe they'll gravitate towards the favorites, but also I don't know if they're going to be like, these are the fans, these are the favorites, and that's the division that it's going to be.
No, I kind of like. I don't think the favorites will steamroll. I do think that they will. I feel like we're going to see lots of contenders be made up of favorites. I think that the way that I see the game just playing out. Obviously, we don't know anything. Usually, we at least have like very minute, like very like crumbs of information to base off our cast assessments of. We're actually doing it the day before, not like the night of or
Yeah.
seconds before the cast reveal, whatever the fuck. But I do think that Al I could see be a very dangerous player. I see Al making it to jury. But the last couple games that they've played, I think literally the last two was Persist and a game on Facebook where they were the final juror. They showed the ability to make it to the end. They made it pretty decently far in Throntopia. I think they got like fifth or something like that. But again, that's Survivor. I could see an issue where they might become a jury threat.
Hmm.
And that will be like they will have to because we actually this became like a discussion both in the interview and after it, where like comp prowess and like the need to win challenges is that really a criticism when it's like Final Five, Final Four, where like why aren't you winning stuff just to ensure that you're still here? But like Final Eight, like why do you need to win out from Final Eight onward? You know, so I could
Yeah.
see by unfortunately might see a situation where Al might be in that predicament. Maybe because they are as blunt as they may come across, they might rub some people the wrong way. I could see a situation where there might be two different factions, and the only consensus thing that they could come up with is like, "Are you okay with letting go of Al?"
I
I
could
could see that be a situation.
I could see some CPNs on the edge of here.
Yeah, finally, Edric's been mentioned to someone other than me. Yeah, I
There you
could see
go.
that.
There you go. Heather, Liz, any thoughts from you guys?
So I only have ever heard of Al from like a secondary
And how much we hate and how much we
person
hate each other?
because I know you and them have a bit, I guess.
It's totally
I
a
don't.
bit.
Sometimes I don't know how much it's a bit or it's legit that you guys hate each other.
If it
Which
makes it-
obviously, if they're playing this game, I think it's a bit. Anyway, so with everything,
Al is playing this
though-
game. Al is playing this game in spite of me being on Prod.
Sure.
Anyway,
I do like what they said a lot in their interview. I know they mentioned like how they try to do a leading neutral game and wouldn't necessarily classify hero or villain, but they they're always going to be a villain to somebody. So like Al is somebody who doesn't like, I think you mentioned this where like they'll call people out and they're willing to call out somebody on their bullshit, whether that's going to make them look bad or not in a game sense. I do feel like Al's gonna do very well just because Al is a very like personable person. So I think that they're going to be able to make it far. Like, and I will say I wanted to like touch on this before when you guys were talking about it with the like fans versus favorites theme. I don't think Al's going to necessarily give a shit about the theme. Like, if I'm gonna be so honest, I think Al is someone who's not going to look at the theme and be like, oh yeah, no, I need to work with the fans because we need to get out these favorites.
Right.
They've had their chance. And honestly, with the favorites we have, I can see quite a few of them not want to work together. So I feel like
Yeah,
Al
we'll get
can
into
kind of
that later.
weasel away segue into there. Um, from what I've at least heard of them is that um, I think they are a lot more on that strategic side.
Mhm.
Like, as much as they'll like put up a like funny front socially, like they are thinking like 5 million steps ahead.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Liz, I know you might be busy.
Hello. Sorry. Uh, I'm back. I'm here.
Hello.
I don't know if it was mentioned. I'm multitasking like a madwoman today, which I hopefully will not do during the season. But if I did, then all of you are not surprised. So, uh, yeah, I love a loyal player. A lot of this is based off of, the season has not happened yet. This is initial season stuff. So this is based off of sort of how I was going through everyone's interviews and how everyone filled out their initial responses or application form. So I love a loyal player. And our friend here, Al, described themselves as a bit of a loyal player, even if they lean a little villain. Uh, I think it'll be interesting to watch because they described some like self-sacrificing traits as far as like their gameplay goes, but also um, they say that everyone is a villain to someone, which I think is interesting. So I'm curious to see who they are a villain to, if they are, as loyal and self-sacrificing as they say. I'm kind of curious because in my mind these are kind of like two different gameplay styles. Is like being a villain to somebody and still being like a loyal, self-sacrificing player. But I am biased. I tend to lean more hero than villain myself when I do play. So I think it'll be really interesting to see a player who can embody that together. It's sort of like a first for me in a fun way. Also, I saw that they mentioned cross stitch, which I think is going to be nice to see. I hope we get to see some cross stitch features during the season. Yeah.
My prediction is they're going to get in a feud with Cody.
Ooh,
Okay.
That's my
I
prediction.
could see that.
We should
I could
save
easily
that
see
for
that
when
actually.
we get
As
to
if they
that.
end up on like opposite sides of the house, I think I could see that really easily.
I don't know who I don't see Al potentially getting into. That's the problem.
Really?
I see Al getting into lots of, even if they're minuscule, like over like dumb
Oh,
stuff. I think
yeah, yeah.
they'll argue with vast majority of people or
But in the
respectfully disagree.
but in
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
but like in the grand scheme of like hypnotic feuds where like the top is like Scott and Pierre, I feel like Al and Cody could be like right there.
Oh,
Oh,
that
that'll be kind
intense.
of cool to see.
They're both, yeah. We'll talk more about that with Cody, but yeah.
Yeah, we should have probably been like, I'll save this for later.
Well, we will. We'll talk about that more.
But I guess
Don't we
we're getting
always?
a slight
Yeah.
glimpse to some other people.
Yeah, but before we get to Cody, we got some more fans to go to talk about, and the next fan is Esmeralda.
Cody, Esme, same thing.
Not quite.
But
Esme, as they also go by.
I have actually hosted Esme before. I've hosted them in a kaleidoscope because they go by she they pronouns.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Because I just want to make sure I'm not because I'm not
Yes.
entirely. I don't recall if those were the pronouns that.
On their
But
application, they put they, she, mentioned she, they in the interview, so
for sake of being respectful, I will use they.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if they have a preference. So yeah. So they played season 6 of Kaleidoscope. They do make it to jury. That was a humongous merge. So there was a couple rounds that they did have to survive. They got split. It was a 5-5 split situation. Like the twist where they split the final 10 into two groups of 5 and they voted two separate people off. They got kind of twist screwed, but they had just lost their closest ally the round before anyways. They were and one thing that I didn't notice with Esme is that when they link up with somebody, they're locked in. They're tight. They're as thick as thieves. But in that game specifically, I felt that they weren't doing enough to expand beyond um their group. They were super funny. They were very entertaining in their prod chats, and whenever people were able to get a hold of them on a call or just conversing with them in their one-on-ones, Esme was a hoot. But unfortunately, I do think that game wise, lots of people were either leaning to be indifferent towards Esme as the game progressed, or kind of just like Esme doesn't give a fuck about me, and like especially after their closest ally got sent home, there was nobody whom had Esme really as a priority. So it's like hard to gauge like whether or not they were actually twist screwed or like they were going to go home around that
Yeah.
point anyways. I know that they didn't do particularly well in this most recent season of Triumph. There is a Triumph connection, and Jennifer is on here.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
But
later. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know exactly what attributed to that early boot. I hope it's not that. I and like activity or something of that sort won't be an issue early on. Because when I listen to the interview, I'm like this is amazing. Like they're giving lots of answers that I really like. You know,
Oh,
like it's kind of like,
they're hilarious.
they're hilarious. But like
Like,
even then, like
yeah.
the more astute answers, I'm like when you're asking like, do you take your closest ally to the final two or someone to beat? Is like, isn't the whole point of this game to win?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
only very few like, and I do like that nuance of like, why is this even a question? Like I just feel like this is such a like, yeah, there's circumstances I wouldn't do this, but I would take the easier beat. So I do like this. I kind of get the impression that Castelluni the Al will call people out on their shit. And because one of their least favorite things is people who are too scared to tell them how it is. So I could see them potentially telling people how it is. And I don't know how well that will go, but I could see a group of people particularly drawn to them because like you will see and you will know Esme is with you, and that's in what's what I'm looking for, like non-negotiable, I guess. But yeah, you
I,
guys could tell me a little bit more about how you feel about Esme.
well, so I will say, during their interview, one thing they did mention is that like they're a big memer in games. Like they'll make memes of their cast members like during the game. Like I think like the main one I remember was like put put cast members' faces like on Mount Rushmore. Like I forget what the context was, but like to me, that's someone who like if as long as they're having like fun with the game, is gonna be like invested. So I think we don't have to worry too much about activity. I'm hopefully not gonna eat my words on that, but I don't think I will. I think that what was it? Yeah, they said really good at social maneuvering and getting their way off the block. Um, and I think in a game like this, like Big Brother, where you really don't have to be like the best positioned in the house, you just have to be not the worst positioned on any given week. I think they'll be able to do that. I don't think they're going to be like at the top of the house or anything like that, but I don't think they'll have trouble pushing bigger targets in front of them. And I think that's going to help them out a lot.
Yeah, we do love a good push of a bigger target. um, and that's something that like they even said like with one of our questions in the interview, like whether or not they would take their final two or someone who's easier to beat. So they're not afraid to cut someone who is going to be who's going to beat them. They want to win first and foremost, and so they're willing to cut ties and be that person to not just take their ally. Like they're not going to be a Cody BB60. Like they're not going to take their closest ally 9 out of 10 times, they say. So that's something that when you mentioned like pushing a bigger target, I feel like that's something that, yeah, they're going to be very good at, is going to be able to like kind of show that, hey, I'm not the biggest person you want out here. I think that they're going to be able to get their way out of a lot of situations that she may be, maybe in danger with, and trying to kind of maneuver off the block there. I also love how when she sent her action shot and intro video, they were like, yeah, I don't look good, and then they were serving cunt the whole time. And I was like, girl, girl, you look great.
What the hell are you talking about? Yeah.
I get you're sick, but like, the fuck?
Sorry, I'm just not like at my best. And then just like,
And then looked gorgeous. I was like, okay. Anyway.
Liz appears to be busy. Oh, maybe not.
Hello.
Do you have any quick notes?
Yes. This is Esme, right?
Yeah.
Sick. I'm ready. I cannot wait for fuck ass memes. I'm so excited for fuck ass memes. I have it written in my notes, just fuck ass memes, and I cannot wait. I also love that they're like a self-described villain who's seen as a hero. I think that's really interesting, and I think that's kind of like cool to watch. The vibe that I got from the interview was of a very like strong player who's very like direct and decisive, which I'm looking forward to seeing because I think that a strong player can. So I feel like it could go either way, where they could either be like running this house or at least running a side of the house, or get in hot water really quickly. And either way, that makes for a compelling game. As far as I can tell, besides Jen, and I was kind of going through this alphabetically, I said no direct connections besides potentially Jennifer. And then I saw Jennifer's profile and I was like, oh my God, this could be an incredible duo, but we'll get to that later. Or at least an incredible, what's up, Jacob?
No, you continue what you were saying.
Okay,
cool.
Like, or at least an incredible dynamic. I also noted that they don't like a scared player. Like one of the types of players they don't like to play with is someone who's like scared to make big moves. So they may be really strong to start out and strong with strategy too, like very clear, decisive moves, strategically speaking. And I think we have some other very strong strategy players in the house this season. So I think that'll be really cool. Yeah.
Well, okay. I think that's a good amount of stuff. And for our next player, we've already mentioned her name a few times because is Jennifer. You unmuted so quickly, Jacob.
Because I was like, I don't
go.
I mean, we've just been doing the order, whatever. Okay, so Jennifer, I this is my first encountering Jennifer in this space. Like I've seen her around. I know that she played the president, which I believe that's how she met Chris.
Yes,
recommended her, like us to her. So
Wait, it was
Chris Ocker,
yeah.
I was thinking because I was like, Chris O just played the president, right?
Yeah. Yes, and I think they met in that game. So yeah,
which is not one of our favorites.
Is not, no,
or at least not that Chris isn't.
That's true.
We did have to make sure at least that name was somehow represented. Point being, so yeah, Jennifer, don't really know all that much about. I'm kind of looking at like the interview. There are some answers that I do like. Every time that she tries to be villain, she ends up being the fan favorite.
Which is really funny.
It's like I know like Heather has mentioned something similar. It's like every time like I want to be villainous. I'm like, no, I'm a villain. I do bad things, and then like you get like hero of the season. That's literally what happened at Spellbound. Like David there, like advertising the game she was gonna play, and just be like, Heather, hey, remember when you said you don't want to be here?
We literally have someone on this season who has. When I mentioned I have never been villain of the season, they were like, what the fuck do you mean you haven't been villain of the season? Which we will get to that.
Yeah, that way later than this. But no, it's like, so there's that is really nuanced and interesting. I could see her playing, because the vibe I just keep getting her is just like a loyal player, it's like someone who's not really gonna do anything to like shake up the house for absolutely no reason. Like somebody who seems to have a level-headed like head on their shoulders. Although I'm sorry, I'm going through this because I feel like she's the biggest question mark to me of all of the fans personally. I think everyone else I have like a solid grasp on how I think they can do in this game, or if they don't do well, why they wouldn't do well. Jennifer, I'm kind of just like.
So here's
you tell me what you think.
Here's what I'm feeling.
Collect my thoughts.
I was getting a little bit of a vibe of Jess from last season, in the sense of um, of really good at positioning yourself with a bunch of allies, and like mellowing out. But then once they're nominated, like Jess was in week one, like switch flips and they'll do like whatever it takes to secure the votes or stay. Because in ranking the social, strategic, and physical, put social first and strategic last, which is a little iffy to me. But at the same time, in President, she was nominated like a bunch of times in a row. It was like the Pawn Star, but then, from what I understand, either secured the votes herself or won the veto to take herself off. So I don't think that's like a detriment to her game at all. It's just in a situation where we have a lot of players who have played before in the favorites and like shown very strategic sides to themselves, and then with some other fans who have shown that they're like not going to be taking their bullshit and might get a little villainy. I'm wondering if Jennifer's going to kind of fall behind a little bit. I don't think so. As long as she like stays on top of things and like keeps the good social connections. So that's what I'm feeling.
I could see her kind of in a situation where like because you're drawing like a parallel to Hypnotic, and I'm kind of like struggling to find a apt comparison for what I could see Jennifer being. Because I'm thinking like if she does make it to jury, I could see her maybe being like an early jury boot, maybe even potentially a pre-jury boot, maybe a like a pleasant person, like someone who nobody has any qualms with, someone
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
not particularly aversive with, but might not be people's priority. Like, oh, they like Jennifer, but they
yeah.
love other people. Like, I could see that might be being a thing, but that's just like, I don't know. Jennifer isn't an enigma. She could be anywhere. She could be all the way from first boot all the way to one of the finalists. I could see just a wide spectrum for Jennifer. Other people, I think it's finite, like where I think they can place or how well they could do in this game.
Mhm.
Just looking at the group of people we have here. But Jennifer is kind of one of, if not the biggest enigmas, just on the board for me specifically. So I'm very interested and excited to see her play, both because I don't know her, love meeting new people from these
Yeah.
games. Like, how the hell did she find us aside from like, of course, Chris Sakharov?
I truly don't know. I think just from placing. I mean, I placed an ad in the Triumph server. I assume that's how Esme found us, and I assume that's how Jennifer found us.
I think that she can either go far or she would be an early jury boot.
But not like eighth place or anything.
I don't know. I think she'd be the reason I think she could be somewhere like people would keep her till the jury is because with her being very or seeming to be social, you said social top, strategic bottom. With that, people might want to keep her around until they are like, okay, I think that it's best for her to be on the jury for me because if they have that like social relationship and that like kinship there, then people might be like, okay, well, I don't want to sit next to that later on when she has a lot of these strong connections, even if they're not necessarily strategic connections. But maybe in a sense of like, okay, I think that I don't want to sit next to this person at the end. I want them on the jury because we have such a close connection, even if they don't actually have that. So I do feel like I don't think she would necessarily make it to the end at this point. I mean, she definitely could. I mean, yes. Like, and I think she's going to do well. Like, I don't see her at this point being in the pre-jury at all. I think that she will at least go a little bit further. And I think we have a lot of strong, like, women. So I
love
think
that
people who might want to work with strong women would be really, really, really cool. I think it'd be a really cool thing. As I say every season, I love women. And then I always have a man other than Lyndon in my as my prod favorite.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, you're like,
uh, wait.
But yeah, no, I think she can do really well. I think like that social can take her very far. I just think that like it could also potentially be a downfall eventually. I don't think it will be a downfall at first.
Yeah. Liz, anything to maybe? Oh, oh, come on, iPad, you got this.
Hello,
Hi.
iPad's here again. I cannot wait to see Jen play. I am excited. One, friends with Chris Ocker, my buddy, our boy, our guy. Uh, so that's really cool. I loved her interview answers so much. I just feel like I'm vibing with that whole vibe, and I can't wait to see this all play out. Takes Ally to the final two to preserve, pride, which is respectable. I think honestly, so valid to be okay losing to a friend. I also find myself in a similar vibe. Um, Ready to throw down. I noted. So I cannot wait to see like someone who is unafraid to kind of call out some bullshit. You know,
Yes.
am I allowed to swear on this? Actually, wait, hold on.
Absolutely fucking not.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, we all just get censor bars. I think that I would love to see her be really strong with Esme, actually. Yeah,
Right, right. We didn't
I
even talk about that. Yeah.
we didn't even talk about that. I brought it back around because I have strong notes on this. But yeah, I would love to see her linking up with Esme gameplay wise. I think that they could be a really, really strong force if they can kind of like link up early. But we don't know if that'll happen. And either way, it'll be amazing to see both of them in the house, and especially to see Jen in the house. Yeah.
Yeah, that is an interesting secret duo that could come in handy, especially since we have some favorites that have played in the same season before. All right, moving on to our next fan. We have our alternate for the season, Jom.
Which we had
Dot.
quite a few alternates, but this one we were
Like we were
Like,
so
we were-
we were so sad to not put them on the original cast, and then a spot opened up for them, and we were like,
that and one other
Oh.
person I've been feeling really bad about. Like I will not say on this because
we
I'm
had
shocked how even.
we did have to
we had a lot of
few people because we had this fans versus favorite season prior to applications being open. So
But-
we had to
yeah.
cast less.
But very excited to have Jom on this cast. Jacob, I believe you know the best, so if you want to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he just played this most recent season of Kaleidoscope. I recruited him. I was like, hey, John, I know that was your first org experience. If you're interested in another one, don't know how December's going to be looking for you, but there's Hypnotic. And we were concerned at first, the reason why he was an alt, and one of my concerns just generally going into the season was that I believe he got a new job offer or something along the lines of like his schedule now being like finalized during this month. And so that could be, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? That could take away a lot of his time from being able to play this game to the best of his ability. One of the things I really loved about John, why I specifically recruited him, was for two reasons. One, he's new to these games. This Kaleidoscope was his first org ever, and I kind of love seeing new blood. And honestly, new blood has historically done really good in Hypnotic's past. I mean, like shit, we have three of the favorites. Their first game was Hypnotic. Like,
our new blood that we brought in.
Yeah.
exactly. So, like, honestly, I kind of want to see John shake some stuff up. And what really made him stand out to me personally, even after he got booted, he was writing paragraphs, ranking every person that's still left in the game about like their win equity, about how they felt about them during the game, whom he thinks can win, contextualizing and trying to theorize like who voted where and like how he feels about them and what should he be doing moving forward. He was very invested in the game even after he got out. And he got done massively dirty. He got sniped pre-jury.
I heard about this. Yeah.
And when like most of the stuff that he was being called out for was not true. And I felt it was very unfortunate for him, so I really wanted to give him another outlet to show off his skills because he seems like he really loves these shows. The only qualm, obviously, aside from the one that I've already expressed earlier, he is also, I'm pretty sure, the youngest individual on this cast,
Mhm.
which can be either a good thing or a bad thing. I remember last time we had like Gavliv that was on here,
Yeah.
and I thought it was just going to slowly be a bad thing. I think it was like a maturity thing. I was concerned that they wouldn't connect with other people on the game. Jam, I could see him potentially connecting with people, and
Mhm.
what I could potentially see is people being protective of Jam because he's so
That's true.
green as
Yeah.
he. I could see people be like, "Oh, why are you going to nominate my poor boy Jam? Like, don't do this."
I can't do that to my boy.
I could see people like really being endeared to Ja because like he's just like because like I don't know how to put this like without like I don't want to like treat him like he's a child either because he's
No, no, no,
very
no.
articulate. He's clearly very intelligent. He loves these shows. He's a big fan of these things. But like I could see people not taking him seriously, which might affect his win equity. But I think not taking him seriously is like, oh, they won't be scared of John, and he could be approachable. Like I could see. Oh, I granted he was pre in the game, the only game that he has played. So which is debatably worse than ranking or assessing a player that's completely brand new.
Yeah.
Because we do have evidence, we do have proof of like at least what he would do in a social strategy game and how far he would go, and it wasn't that far. But I do have hopes that people are going to give Jam a chance. I think generally we cast a lot of newbie friendly people, people who've been in the community for so long that they just are dying to just meet somebody new, and I feel like they would gravitate and like want to make things work with Jam, and so it's really up to Jam to kind of capitalize on
Yeah.
opportunities.
I could see John being like the person people go to when they're like mad at somebody else in the game. Be like, oh my god, I can't believe what this guy said to me, or something, something like that. Will mention that so he is playing in Australian time or one of Australia's time zones. I forget exactly how Australian time zones work. And we have had players in the past that are in different time zones, and that's prevented them from being social with other players. I will say, I think the thing that John has on them is that if I'm to understand this correctly, if it's nighttime in our time zone in EST, then it's like afternoon for him, something like that. So that shouldn't be too big a problem. It's not like he's waking up at like 4 a.m. to 3 a.m. to like do a live night or something. I think he'll be around and able to talk to people. And he's been very, very receptive, able to reach whatever, during this time of hey, a spot might open up for you. Okay, a spot is open for you. Can you please send us your things? And he was able to like get on top of that like that. So all that is a roundabout way of saying I think he's going to be one of our surprisingly more active players. I think he's going to have a very good social game. I think, like we said before, I think people aren't going to want him to go. Like we see those people before where they have such a good social game that even if it's like beneficial for them, people like just can't like put it upon. They can't bring themselves to vote them out. And I feel like John could fall into that category pretty well. And he seems like he has a lot to prove after, because we said, what, Kaleidoscope was his first game and this is his second game? Yeah, I feel like he's got a lot to prove. And even going up against these favorites, I think he's going to look at that and be like, I got my work cut out for me. I'm going to put in some extra time. And that's how I think he's going to approach this game.
I do think that it is kind of funny with what he said when what will you bring to Hypnotic that nobody else will. One is that he wears darker colors.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
No. He explained it as like a strategy. He was like, okay, I could see that. Not like a strategy. I think like more like a personal fulfillment. Just be like, oh, like I will, like people might not. How do I put this? Because I want to do what he told me in the interview justice. There was
Like
like,
he's
oh, I'm
going
going
to
to start
hide
off
in the
with
dark with his dark.
he's going to hide in the background. People aren't going to see him, which would be a great strategy. I think like in person. I don't know how much that's good. But then once he gets later on in the game, some more brighter colors so people can notice him. Like
He's metagaming this so hard.
Metagaming.
Yeah. I love it.
He seems very game body. and in a good way and a bad way. Like we all know, like game bots can be very
This,
like good in the sense of they like think ahead. They're going to be trying to, like meta game this.
this
to
is giving
know.
like alternating writing your survivor votes with your right hand and your left hand. Like,
Yeah.
so they
But
can't tell it's you.
he says he's going to be intentionally misspelling words, downplaying memory,
Ooh.
like lying about education history and stuff like that, which as someone who's been in the org community a bit, like that is a very like new person kind of train of thought, which I know you said he's only really played Kaleidoscope, right? Yeah, so it's a very like newbie kind of thinking thing, because that's something that I was actually remember being targeted in my first ever game, saying how I wanted to go into like majoring in psychology, and people were like, oh my gosh, she's into psychology, that means she's gonna be the biggest threat. And now it's like, oh,
Well,
you're a
will-
psychologist.
I will say he did mention that he hates people who play super loyal, which is, I think, another newbie
Yes.
thing that could, yeah.
And I also
Offset.
really liked how he was saying that he's coming into this wanting to be a hero and a villain. Like there's times for being one or the other. Like he wants to backstab people. He doesn't want to be super, super loyal. And even with his worst moment in orgs, he mentioned like he jumps ship, so he's not afraid to adapt. Even it could definitely blow up in his face like it did in the previous game, but like I love seeing people who are at least willing to make that jump rather than just stick to the same thing. Because like as much as the other past seasons were really good, we don't like a steamroll from a viewer's perspective. We don't like some like stagnant stuff that's going to end up being predictable. And I feel like John can make it a little bit more unpredictable. I don't know how far or not he will make it, but I really hope he does kind of go a little bit further.
For sure. Liz.
I hit the wrong button. Hi.
Okay, you're good.
Okay. So this is our buddy John right now,
Yes.
correct? Excellent. I've been following along.
You're good.
So the vibe that I got from the interview, and this might be because you stated it explicitly, or it might be just the energy that I was getting, is that John is a hero who wants to be a villain,
Right.
which is exciting. I'm curious because in the interview he kind of suggests that he was more of a socially strong player than other strategically or competitively, but simultaneously isn't a fan of loyal players. Which I think if you are a social player who can get a loyal player on your side, you have a solid, if nothing else, number. But I would say honestly ally that you would want to have. I'm curious to see how John plays, because a lot of what he was saying in the interview was kind of, suggesting that he leans a lot on like his own intellect and intelligence to play. And I'm curious to see how that kind of pans out, because I feel like sometimes we have players who are genuinely very smart and underestimate themselves, and then we have players who overestimate themselves. And so I'm wondering if John is going to, which side John will fall on. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my thought.
Yeah. No, like I could, because I think because that answer when he provided, it was like also like not liking people who are super chaotic. That would just give him a headache. Like you want to play a game relatively where with rational people who he can like either know where their head's at because they'll express that to him, or at least he can like predict, like he could potentially read. We've had lots of half-halves.
I'm gonna
That's
say
a super fair desire. It's just
Yeah.
you're never going to get a pure house like that. There's always going to be some amount of emotional, or at least like vibes that people are basing decisions off of. So I feel like almost like preferring a pure house in the sense of like everyone is behaving completely rationally and predictably is like, yeah, that's the dream. That's not necessarily what we're going to get.
I'm gonna say I think while we have those other people that we talked about before that are like gonna call people out on their bullshit, I think John's just gonna like see the bullshit and then just like let them keep feeding him. and just be like,
Ooh,
wow,
okay.
that's wow, yeah. Oh,
That I
you
could see
want
that
to
being
work?
pretty helpful,
You want
actually.
to work
If that's
together?
sort of like the way
Yeah,
that
I
if that's the way
agree.
that his like social game leans, actually, I could see that being pretty solid in a more like crazy house. Um,
I really hope John comes to us and just be like, you can't trust none of these.
I would love that. Oh, I would be such a big John fan.
Okay,
Please, John, please give us good confessionals.
because what the job is like, I think that when he provided that answer, I think that's more so will be applicable like if he's on the jury and he wants to like who he
Mm,
would reward. Because like it's not just like the facet that they're super loyal that he has a problem with. It's like
Yeah,
the soapbox that they go on. Like someone who's like very high and
okay,
mighty
like a
and just like
preachy player
yeah,
John,
almost.
like someone like a
John would be a super fun juror, I think.
I think he'd
I
be
could
a
see that.
very he's I think he's gonna be very dedicated. I think he's gonna take notes. He's gonna have documents about like
Nice.
the whole game. And it's like I think I come like a game trivia comp if somehow he makes it all the way there, which would be amazing and be awesome, and I would love that for him. Um, but I think we have some stiff competition here. I think especially like again, like we mentioned, like the
Yeah.
favorites. I don't know if you'll particularly see that as imposing or intimidating. I think you would see this as like an open challenge, like a welcome, like oh shit, sorry, I bet let's get this money.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Which this is,
Oh,
I will say, as a segue because I want to do the segue.
sorry. Go ahead.
So this is the first season we've technically casted two people with the same exact name.
I believe so.
I believe
Technically,
so.
yes.
But John just goes by John. Our next person has the same name, but doesn't go by John. He goes by Jonathan.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much for letting me
That was a good
segue.
segue. That was a
Yeah.
great
That's right.
segue. Yeah. Yeah.
What's crazy is that even if we did like Jonathan B, it would still be the same because both of the last names start with B.
Oh
So
my
Did it
God.
really? Okay, wait.
yeah,
I
they both
didn't
start
know
with
that
B.
part.
Okay, so this is like
So
a thank God John goes by John.
John goes by John.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been miserable to distinguish the two. Um,
It's like,
I
please give us a nickname, please. Please.
but I'm gonna start, and I'm like, yay! Thank finally I could finally host Jonathan because he was supposed to play Alex's season of Spellbound. He dropped due to scheduling reasons and like some other things that were going on, which not my
He would
decision.
have made that season better.
We would have made the season better. Which, so I've been very eager to host him again. I was waiting for the opportunity and he took it upon himself. Like, I wish I could take credit for this, but I really can't. He just kind of just applied of his own volition. So I was really excited to see him play. Because my impression of him, because I knew he played, I know he won the collective. And that was the first time I ever seen him in this space. So I was immediately impressed. But to come to find out that apparently that was his second game and the first game he played was a Facebook game, which he also won. Which I'm like, my guy on his B crime era, if you know who I'm talking about, winning their first two games back to back, kind of goaded for that. Yeah, no, so I was really excited to see him and kind of better gauge who he is as a player. Because while I had the Hypnotic interview, of course, to base off of, I have some of his answers from his Spellbound interview, as well to kind of gauge what he would do in certain circumstances. Because we totally don't use the exact same questionnaire for both series. That would be absurd. Um,
Absolutely insane.
that would be insane. Um,
It's almost
there's
like
answers.
Dragon Ball proteins.
It's almost like there's like, what's the commonality? Whatever. Point being, he's very funny. I think he's very savvy. I think he's very personable. That was my experience with him in Bodo because I played that with him. He was one of my favorite people. I realistically, he gave me no information game wise for me to trust him, but I just loved vibing with him so much. Like he was just such a fun person to talk to, and he bounces off people very well. I think he's someone who will bring his own goofy and fun and silly energy, but is really excellent in like seeing the vibe for itself and playing into it and being able to kind of like camouflage into whatever room that he ends up in. I honestly think he's one of the contenders on the fan side of
Yeah,
things. Like this is
I know we
somebody
were saying
who
that he's like one of the best chances of winning of everyone
of
of
the
fans. Yeah, at least.
I can maybe even just on the board, including fans and
Yeah,
favorites.
sure.
That's somebody who I have little high expectations for, and really hope that he's able to deliver on that. Um, because he's also another player, and I actually think that this has been the most interesting cast as far as the do you take your closest ally to final two or someone easier to beat? Because so many of them are taking the go in a Resolute, and the fact
Which
that they're
is
going to be doing that,
very exciting.
which like I don't think any other season, barring like arguably maybe Jay want to get out Caleb in season four, have we had someone win the final HOH and actually cut their closest ally? So it's interesting that he's also of that same
Yeah.
mold. I could see a situation where, kind of similar to the Owl, they could become a massive jury threat. I always try my best to find a. It's actually funny because I did the Paradox cast assessment, did the same thing. I call it the Wendell Holland because preseason of Ghost Island, I was like, there's no shot he wins, right? Because I just thought it was so obvious that he was good at everything. Like I just like I'm thinking, oh, I see it. Just hearing him for like a minute talking, and they're gonna see it at some point during the game. He's gonna be taken out because he's too big of a threat, and that just never happened.
To be fair,
And
Ghost Island is certainly a season of Survivor.
it's certainly a season of Survivor, one of the most Survivor seasons of all time. And I can never take that away
Let
from
me
him.
tell you.
Like I see Jonathan as that person. Like I just saw Roberto, who I considered that in Deception, go on to win. I see that happening a lot. Like these people that I'm like, oh, for sure they're gonna clock this person for being as good as they are, and they just don't, and they let their guards down around these
We
people.
had strong feelings about Caleb's chances before, and nobody really clocked them. So
That could be that.
I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, honestly I don't know what more else there is to say about Jonathan. I think he's like I think he's a very well-rounded player. I could see him being very social. I could see him very strategic. I don't really know too much about his physical ability, but as you said, he won collective, so he's got to be at least competent at winning a few competitions and stuff like that. Saying he's going to play strategically a more villainous game, and that along with the fact that he would be willing to cut his closest ally, I think he might actually be one of the people, because people can say that all the time. They're going to cut their closest ally, and then they get into the game and they're like, yeah, but like this is my best option. I think he'll actually be able to look at his options and be like, yeah, my best option is to cut this person. And if that does happen, I would be very excited because I think it's been a minute since we've had like a big, huge betrayal of an HOH or something like that. Oh, Liz, you unmuted so quickly.
Yeah, don't mind me. And I immediately dropped something.
Oh, oh no. Did you want to give your thing now while you're available?
Oh, sure, yeah. Yes, excellent. This is our friend Jonathan.
There it is.
I thought that Jonathan's interview gave me a lot of interesting, kind of contradicting ideas almost. He describes himself as a good ally, but also would cut the ally going into the final two, which you can still be a good ally and do that at the end game. If that's your goal is to win and not just to stay that good ally into that final two. I think that's fair. But I think that'll be interesting to watch. If I remember correctly, he also describes himself as some villainous traits, but as a very social player too. And I love a good like a good social game villain. Well, I love it when I get to watch it. Playing with it, I'm very, but I recognize it's understandably a very impressive type of player to kind of be in a game. So I think it'd be cool to watch from like the prod perspective this time instead of the player perspective. Yeah.
Heather, you got any thoughts on our friend Jonathan here?
Yes. So here we go. I liked his answer for least favorite type of player, someone who comes off as needy and desperate and stuff like that. Like, you can only say I got you so many times. He would hate playing with me because I need that reassurance. But yeah, no, like it seems like he likes people who are going to be a lot more straightforward. And I think that there's like a lot of good things about him there. Like he seems to have won, quite at least 2 games.
That's true, yeah.
And everything. And so he has shown that ability to do that and win first 2 games ever played. But yeah, no, and it's something where it seems like he knows what he's going to do. And saying how one of the things is a 28-person game, like, which I know we mentioned this a little bit before, he won something with 28 people, he'll be fine with 16 people, like, or 15 other people. So I do think that he's going to be really good. He seems really, like, fun, goofy, funky, fresh kind of person. I really loved his, like, intro video and stuff like that. Like, that's something that I think will also draw people, if people actually watch the videos. I know some people in orgs do not. Sometimes I do or don't. But yeah, no, I think he's going to have a really good grasp. I think he's going to get fairly well in with a lot of people. I don't know how many other people may know him other than like people who like, you know, follow the collective and things like that, and maybe some Bodo people. Like, so I don't know if any of the like players who do play other games a lot, like some of the favorites that we have play games a lot, like around, that will know of his past wins, or if he's going to be open about it too. So I guess it's going to see on that end, because, you know, orgers love talking about past orgs.
Yeah, they do.
So
he'll let it spill, but I don't think it'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
With that, move on to our next fan, and that is, of course,
Miss Julia Rowe.
with one of the cast photos of all time. I forget what context they sent this to. Oh yeah, they were just like, I'm gonna pull up an old one. I don't know if this is an old cast photo. If not, it better be. Okay, so like, what isn't there to say about Julia at this point? We've played with each other before. Julia has hosted me numerous times. I think Julia is going to be one of the biggest threats of the fans coming into this season, because Julia has like such a way about her
She's got a
gameplay.
reputation.
She definitely has a reputation, but is able to like follow that up. Like, I hate playing with Julia, not because I don't like enjoy her presence, but just because like she's like way too good at this, and it's like really annoying. Like, there was a game we played a game many years ago where like Julia was gonna be the merge boot. Like, there was like no doubt about it. And then I hopped on a call with Julia for like 15 minutes, and then I left being like, okay, Julia's not gonna be the merge boot. Wait, how the hell did that happen? And she's able to save herself. She's really good at talking to people, really good at laying things out in a way that makes sense for that person, but ultimately benefits her. And I think she has at least a few connections on this cast that will help her out. I think her main thing is just going to be managing threat level, and I don't know if she's like changed up her gameplay in a while, because I don't think I've played with her in a while. But Julia is probably one of the players I'm most excited to see play as a whole.
Yeah, so I've played 2 games with Julia. I think only 2. I might be wrong with that. Both were fairly long ago. One was hosted by dear old Jacob over there. And she's someone who I, in games at least, feel comfortable like also talking shit with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not like in a bullying way, but like, I remember in both games that I played with her, I'm like, God, some of these people are just so fucking obnoxious. Like, I just can't right now, like, deal with it. Or like, oh my God, like, these people just want to do these other things that, whatever. And sometimes it was like us being on the same page, and then sometimes it was always also like, you know, like either one of us playing each other. One of our games I got further, and one of the games she actually won. So she has proven herself. She had, like we said, she has the reputation. She has the resume to back it up. She has the skills there. I was surprised she actually even applied for this game because I was just like, oh no, Julia Rose never gonna apply for this game, and then she did it. I'm like, Julia,
Hello.
hello. Um, will she make it past Fred?
So just don't be first boot,
And
and
then
at
don't be
worst you
second.
tie with Fred.
If
But
she's if she's first boot, first of all, wow. And then second of
yes,
all, Fred is never gonna let her live that down.
crazy. But no, well, I mean to be fair, that's how Kaleidoscope played out. But that's it's neither here nor there. Julia is somebody who, I also just like Heather, I was shocked and applied. Was it for an app? More or less. Yeah, yeah.
Who's to say?
It's to say. Well, I to say because I announced during the collective that I'm playing the collective as an app for an app.
There you go. So you're to say.
So I have to say. But so Julia, someone I'm just really excited to see here. She has a couple people whom I don't know about her relationship with Al during Thrilltopia. I'm assuming it was, I won't say on the rockier side, but clearly they weren't like closely aligned with each other throughout the long duration of this game. There's a couple relationships both of the fans and on the favorite side that I think are going to be very interesting to see how she navigates those. Because she might either immediately be gravitating towards those people, towards some of those people, and immediately turned off from working with other people and kind of like wanting to keep arm's length. I hope that she's not just immediately going to make reservations for like the usual suspects that I think that she would probably would work with in most scenarios, like Timmy, for example. Like I think that that's somebody whom she might fall into like the well, I have to work with Timmy, which is valid because I love Timmy, but
I don't think she will because I think
uh,
she doesn't like bringing in like
doing that,
past
yeah.
game
So
back.
I could see her playing a very fluid game, absolutely. But like that's what I'm saying. Like I hope she doesn't fall into a trap. I don't suspect her to, but I could see like her first few conversations and like the foundations of some of the first couple alliances that she might be making or might be included in might be reliant on some of those pre-existing relationships. Whether she will prioritize those, I'm not entirely sure. I think that Julia is a very well-rounded player. I think is excellent socially, great strategically, great physically. So I could see her dominating in many different facets of this game. What's going to be interesting is because I think there's a good chunk of people who are not familiar with her on this cast. It may not know her reputation in the community. Because while I don't think that that was the sole reason she won Spellbound when I hosted her back then, I think that played a factor into her win equity and like how impressive it was that she made it all the way to the end. There are some people who haven't really played many of these games, and if they hear through the grapevine, "Oh, Julia is this master, like mastermind. She's this all-star player," then I could see people immediately being like, no, well, that's the case. She's got to fucking go." Like I could see either that or people be like wanting like some of those like the Cadens, the Isas, the Joannes, the people who haven't really played all that many games and haven't been around the space enough to know people's reputations of the grand scope of things, maybe gravitating towards her and just be like, I want her on my team then if she is all these things that other people are saying that she is. Um, but I don't know. I very am interested to see how she plays because again, kind of similarly to Jennifer, I could see her placing anywhere. Because I think the people who do know her will know that she is one of, if not the most dangerous person on the board. I don't. I know that she can omit this mist about her that has people forget how good she is at these games. Um, so I kind of want to see her omit that mist. I think that's a word. But yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. I'm conflicted.
Okay. Liz, anything to add?
Absolutely. I cannot wait to see Julia play. First of all, I love a fellow girly in STEM. As a girly in STEM, I'm very excited about that. I'm also really excited to see her game because she describes having a very, very strong strategic side, but without as strong a social from what she's saying. And in my mind, that seems like like someone playing like 4D chess. You know what I mean? So I cannot wait to see that in action. I also love I love the idea of a strong villain, like described as like a hardcore villain, basically, with a few close allies who is like loyal to the end, like taking ally to final two. Um, in my mind, that seems very like anti-hero, which I think in like a cast with otherwise a lot of like very like oh leaning villain, leaning neutral, you know, kind of players, at least self-described, to have a strong like I'm a villain with my allies and you can do what you can do about it, but just know that I'm thinking like 6 steps ahead. Like I'm really excited to see that. Siri play Mastermind by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I also think it'll be interesting to see because she describes really disliking stubborn players.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Like players that you can't really like talk to, players who are kind of like set in their ways, especially as like a very strategic player. I think that's going to be interesting with this cast because I think we have a lot of really really strong personalities here, and so I'm wondering how she'll be navigating a bunch of what could theoretically be a lot of strong, stubborn players, or at least players coming across as very stubborn. I am excited, and I hope she stays for a while because I would love to see her go to the end, or at least close to the end. Hell yeah! At least be in jury so we can yap at you, please.
For sure. About about women in STEMs. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was okay. Right. Okay. With that, oh,
No, I already said my stuff, I think.
you were saying I don't.
No.
Okay, cool. With that, we got two more fans to get to, and one of our last ones is your boy Seb. Let's go.
Again,
Jacob,
not-
take it away.
I feel like I have to be. So Seb, I've been pestering this man to play this game for quite some time now. It's like, dude, just get out the way, man. Just play Hypnotic already.
Seriously.
It took him a minute, but I am really glad that he finally said yes. The Sebastian Julia relationship is just always going to be an interesting and complicated thing to
Yeah.
assess. Like, how will that go? But let's just remove that for just a moment. You. Seb is a very underrated strategic player because I think that one thing that's kind of very understated about Seb as a player is that you play these games as often as you do, or like you host these games as often as you do, you understand people's motivations. You understand the meta of the game, and the more often you can kind of see a game for yourself play out and what people do, and naturally are going to start playing playing along with them like you do on the actual show, just like what would I have done in this person's shoes, what would I do in this person's shoes, this person should have done this and this and this and not done this and this and this. So Seb, I think, as a result, has accrued lots of information, not just about other players but also like what typically works and what typically doesn't. I could see Seb because we just saw him in Deception. He was, I want to say, the first juror, and kind of fell victim to knowing too many people. And I think that this cast is more favorable, at least in that regard. Like, he does have some connections, and there's people whom he knows of on here. But I struggle to know like a game that like he's played with a good chunk of like the fans, for example. I think, like, I know for a fact he's played with Esme, um, because they played together in that season of Kaleidoscope. He was booted maybe a couple rounds before Esme was. Um, the concern that I do have though is, of course, like he gets really invested into these games. He feels really passionately. He emotes very strongly. So of course, there may be a situation where he is very frustrated and is very good at hiding how frustrated he is. That may either, at best, may be like convey to an ally like, oh, like he really cares. Like he would not be feeling this strongly if like he wasn't genuinely hurt that I betrayed him. Clearly he felt really good with me. I messed up. Or worst case scenario, people may be turned off by him being like, or like portray him as like this, like a sore loser, if you will. I could see him kind of being in a situation where he doesn't get his way and doesn't react all too well to it
Mhm.
because and granted, from seeing him host as much as he has, I do agree that like he has great ideas. And so whenever he vents to me about stuff that happens in other games, I'm like, yeah, that's stupid. Why didn't they just go through with your plan? But like in a game like this, people aren't going to just only subscribe to Seb's line of thinking, his logic. So I'm just excited to see him play. I didn't know with like the move how eager he was to play a game, or especially after Deception. I thought he was going to take a longer of a break. Um, I don't know. I love Seb, like obviously. So I hope he does good.
No, yeah, Sav is great. It's been a minute since I've played with him, and I think the one time we did play, at least that I can remember, he kind of bamboozled me. So I'm a little whatever. It's fine.
It's still the funniest thing I've ever witnessed. I was in both prod chats.
Oh yeah, EXP, yeah.
Is that what
That
you're
was a
talking
fun time.
about?
No, not at all. Anyway, so
But
no,
it was a
I-
smart move for. I mean, not smart necessarily
Excuse me.
getting you out. It was smart what he did.
excuse me. I'm cast assessing Seb right now.
You-
So so I do agree because from what I've seen from Seb in other games, he is very good at thinking things through and making the best logical decision for himself. Unfortunately, when you have a game where other people are doing that too, yeah, sometimes things happen where you don't where things don't work out in your favor, and that's where I've seen that Seb can sometimes be a bit of an emotional player. Can um, have a blindside happen to him and maybe not keep as calm, cool, and collected as maybe he should. That being said, in a Big Brother game, I don't really see that happening too often unless it's a situation where um, uh, unless it's a situation where like an HOH nominates you out of nowhere or something like that, which I feel like that hasn't happened before, could very well happen this season. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, I do think Seb's gonna be fairly well connected as well. From what I remember, the last Big Brother game he played, he tied the win with one of our favorites, and we'll get to that person in a little bit. So that's another connection there. With Cody in Wheel.
That was Cody.
Yeah. Anyway, we're no, very excited to see Seb play. Like we were saying before, we've been trying to get him to play for like since season 2 or something like that, and so I'm really excited that we finally get to have him on this season.
Yeah, I'm also excited to have Seb. I know we've been like looking at Seb for the past, this is the 6th season now, so since season 1. I think season 1 we were a lot less also because we were casting a lot of people who were very close with Seb, and I feel like even now we do have quite a few people who are in that kind of realm there too, because like this is also coming from me when I came back to the community after a little break. It was my first game back, and it's a whole new group of people because everyone decided to leave the community and come in and everything like that.
Very rude.
And granted, it was a very small tribe, but I did gravitate towards Seb. And this is something I've actually even talked about with Grace at one point, where Seb is really good at drawing new players in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something where, like, when a new player is talking to Seb, people will be like very, okay, I think I can trust this person.
Yeah.
Even if he may not be the most trustworthy at that time. It's just something like a lot of people will tend to gravitate towards him. I know we also talked about the potential like Julia Seb situation. Like they know each other. They were literally hanging out the other day, especially now that they live in the same state. It can always go good or bad in a situation there. We do know that Seb is more of an emotional player. However, like we also said, that like he's very strategic. He's thinking ahead there.
Yeah.
And making sure everything goes to plan, which I think does come at that detriment of like when things do go a little bit awry, that it affects him a little bit more because he put so much work into trying to make things go smoothly. But yeah, no, I think Seb can definitely make it really far in this game. I think there's a lot of connections in this game. Whether or not he's going to use those connections, because I know Seb is not someone who will necessarily work with someone just because he knows them.
Right.
And so that's something that I think that will work more to his benefit this season than not. So
There are like people who I like very interested to see like how he interacts with them, because while we're talking about like the Julia Seb relationship, there's other relationships I feel like are just naturally interesting. Like for example, like he has his co-winner from Wheel on this cast as one of our favorites. We have while we're talking about Julia and talking about Heather, like the spellbound of it all, we do have someone
another
else who played a
spellbound
part
person.
in voting Seb off there. That might be interesting. He was a prod guest for Issa, I'm pretty sure. So that's going to be a
Oh,
really
I forgot
yeah.
about that. No,
Well,
because I was
this
like,
could be
oh, it was
interesting,
like
yeah.
Keaton, because Keaton usually gets the newbie.
but Seb got that one.
Nope,
Seb
not this
got
time,
one.
yeah.
And another interesting relationship that I really want to see him and Caden, because
Ooh.
Caden and Mike Jones
Do not.
do not fuck with each other.
Which is
so,
fair, yeah.
which,
You
I mean,
saw
like-
that.
That was
Again.
that was a time.
that was a time. Kaleidoscope was another time. So I don't know if that will extend to like. I think it'd be funnier if they got along really well. Actually, at least I think it'd be fun. But that there's like so many interesting relationships. I'm very interested to see him foster. Actually, I think him and this final fan that we have. I don't know why I get this vibe that they might be a dynamic duo of sorts. I'm not. This is not even me trying to be like facetious. It's just saying like I could see them maybe kind of linking up in some way.
Are we set before I get a chance to yap, or are we simply?
No. You,
Okay, sick, cool.
No,
Sorry.
James,
I'm just adding
go
more.
ahead. Go ahead. Oh, what?
Oh, I was shutting up to let Jacob finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. No, you can go. You can
No,
go.
Liz.
Oh, okay.
State your
Okay, excellent. Okay, I got my notes. So, I cannot wait to see Seb play. I feel like he's so prolific in the community from my perspective, because I'm definitely on the newer side. I'm still pretty green, I think, for orgs. So I'm really excited to see this. Based on his interview, Seb seems like a hero, but he seems confused about it. Was my assessment. Like describing like very like heroic traits, but like unsure if that was like really. I just got the vibe that like he's a hero, but he's a little lost about it, which was kind of funny. Can't wait to see that. Love a commitment to the theme and promises of dressing up and wearing bolo ties. Cannot wait. That's my favorite kind of player, is someone who commits to like the vibe and the theme and the fun of it all, because it is hopefully fun at the end of the day. As far as strengths go, from what I could tell based on the interview, very balanced, which I think also holds up with what I've heard about Seb, which is pretty cool. So I can't wait to see like a well-rounded player, you know, a true figure grace the Hypnotic House, especially if Seb and Julia are as close as it seems, which is exciting. Ooh. Also, what's the podcast about? Just saw something about a podcast get mentioned, and I need to know what that's about. What kind of podcast is that?
The podcast?
Yeah, in like Two Truths and a Lie, one of the answers was about having a podcast, and that, from what I saw, was like the truth, one of the truths.
I
I
don't
forget
know.
what you said. I was like, is it that he started a podcast or that he had one like back in the day?
It's like I think it's only like a few episodes or something small like that.
I got it.
Yeah, we can ask him about it.
That's my best one.
It's in the recording somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of recording, we're gonna move on to our final.
Speaking of recording, V.
Yeah, no. So maybe no. Speaking of recording, we're actually going to upload this recording to a DVD, and yeah, that's the segue. Obviously, I
Okay,
Shut up. So,
I'm gonna start.
oh, you're gonna start with V. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I was because like we keep saying like we have these people that like aren't gonna take their bullshit and anything like that. I think V, besides maybe besides maybe Al, is probably like top contender about that because like um where was it in my notes? Um. Because they made it very clear in their project that they're going to be giving a lot this season, but they also made it or in their interview I say that they're going to be giving a lot this season, but they've also made it very clear that they are not afraid to be tapping into their villain side like at all, and I feel like that's something that like is going to be needed in this season, especially because we have so many people that like claim they're going to be playing as the villain, as the person who's going to like make you trust them and then like completely backstab you. I think V's going to be the one that actually pulls through on that. I feel yeah, they said socially can get into fights, which from a TV perspective I love. And then strategically good read on what needs to be done, but not having the social capital to make things happen. I feel like that could be a bit of a downside. I could see a situation where a house fight starts, they get involved, and then they become like some sort of house pariah, which technically didn't happen last season, but there certainly were a lot of house fights, and I could see V being the person to start those fights. Which again, great from a TV perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, I don't know if that's going to be their best move. So I don't know. I'm both hoping it happens and hoping it doesn't happen with them.
So V is someone whom I've seen a lot in the Orgosphere rather recently. It's kind of like the Sanam, kind of like Mirror, like I feel like I just saw V everywhere on every cast of
Yeah, they're
every
popping up
game
there.
that's ever existed of all time, and I'm just like, what the fuck have you played any of my games?
Yeah.
Feel offended. So I'm glad V is here. Um, I got along with them considerably well when I played with them in Bodo. Um, but they did get into a fight with Jess, which I mean, usually I'm like against people going into fights. I just never believe that that's a good strategic move. But considering it was Jess, I don't blame them. I don't blame either of them. But personally,
Yeah.
that was a time that was experienced. So V I could see potentially being V for volatile, could potentially find themselves into a couple spats during the season. I could see V for villain. I could see V kind of in like a not like a showboaty way. I don't think that's the word, but I think making a really big betrayal at some point during this game,
Mm.
whether it be being the swing vote to vote either their closest ally out or vote a new prospect who V would like to pick up as a number down the road. I could see V going in a wide array of directions. But what stinks about their interview, which I did like their interview for the most part, a lot of and you mentioned Alex, some of this, like they mentioned lots of their weaknesses and their flaws as a player. Like I could see
It's gonna
like
be
V's
tough,
telling
right?
us like if this doesn't go well and outline the reasons why it might not, like saying that challenge wise that they're rather wishy-washy. And I want to say they've done like decently in Bodo and like the whole scope of the game. I could be wrong. I could be mistaking V for another player who's done really well and not the season that we played, but the season I think prior to that. Like I said, would get into fights. I could see them. Honestly, I'm not going a lot of what you were saying. Just like concerns of like them doing something that might ostracize them or make them out to be a house pariah. I think some of these first couple rounds, people are just going to look for any excuse to vote someone off, to take somebody out, and I could see V falling V victim of that mentality.
Nice.
So let's see how this plays out. But Heather, um, do you have anything to say about V?
Second, sorry, I was trying to make sure counting things because I'm also making the chats while we're doing
At the
this.
same time. Yeah.
And I love when I make a chat because I just did Esmeralda's and V's chat, so I love when I am making a chat of someone we're talking about.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, I want to see a dynamic villain duo
Okay.
of V and Jonathan. I think that would be something that would be really cool. I love it when two villains work together and then they're just like causing havoc.
Who's Fairplay and who's Burton?
Shut up.
Okay.
Anyway, so like I don't know, it's just something that like I do love a good villain. Like obviously not to a point where, you know, it causes us worry, like especially with it getting like either personal or like just out of hand, but we do love a good villain. We do love, like, you can't just have a game full of heroes or people who tend to play heroic even though they think they're
Boring,
villainous,
yeah.
aka me. But like it's something where I am excited to see where they're going to be and what they're going to do in terms of calling shit out, getting in any like obviously respectable fights.
Mhm.
Even if it's not great for their game, it's gonna be great for my viewing experience.
Just give us some fun stuff.
So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, I have seen them around in certain things. Obviously, I'm not as like well in the org community as much anymore, so I don't see every single game as much as hear from you because you're a lot more in depth. But I have seen their name quite a few places, and I'm excited to see where things go from here.
Yeah. I think it'll be really interesting to watch V play, to be honest. Between like being in Belgium, I think is an interesting start. Already off the bat, we're gonna have some really interesting, I think, dynamics with the time zone. I also kind of got the vibe, I know someone mentioned it earlier, based on the interview, it seems like they're weak in pretty much all three of the major categories in org, that being like strategically, socially, and in comps, physically. So I think that's an interesting strategy to sort of, I don't know if they're just incorrectly assessing their own skills or if it truly is like a little bit of a triple threat situation, which I think sometimes you can kind of do well in a game in spite of that, which would be interesting. I also really excited to see his play style. The vibe that I got based on when they were like talking in the interview was that they played kind of like almost like a mustache twirling villain, and I'm excited to see. You know what I mean?
I see it.
Like true, like vindictive kind of villain. I think that I also worry a little bit about it going too far because we have, you know, we've all seen that happen in orgs before, where it goes a little too far in that direction. But I think that if they are a fight starter, if they can figure out how, I would love to see them use that ability to kind of stir things up in the house. Like we've seen some houses that have very strong divisions early on and mostly stay that way. I think a well-placed villain could stir shit up in the right way to get that division a little bit shakier and a little bit more fluid. I would love that. Also, I mean, absolutely reading it incorrectly, but at a glance, it seemed like when they were asked what, you know, type of player is their least favorite, they just said American players, and I had to reread it. I was like, that's most of our cast. I'm sorry.
You know what? We love that.
And I agree, but figure out mention. Yeah.
Again, like I said before, I feel like of all the people I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the villain. Via's biggest chance of actually doing that. Okay. And with that is our final fan, which means...
And also with that, I am on the J's.
On the J's, of which there's like 6 on this cast. And with that, we move on to our favorites. 8 favorites, 8 players who have played the game before. We'll see how they come out this time. And our first favorite is your boy, Chris. Chris played in season 4. YouTube recommended, made it all the way to final 6. Which is honestly a miracle that they made it that far. Not to say that they're a bad player, because I really don't think they were, but like
They tied the block star, right?
they were just the block star of that season. Like, they set some sort of record of like getting nominated 4 weeks in a row and surviving all of them. But like, so yeah, so they definitely were an underdog in season 4. This time, I want to say, well, obviously, I hope they're not the underdog this time, because you don't want to see, someone playing from the bottom twice, because that's, we've seen that before. I will say, I know that Chris has mentioned he's going to be a little busy the first week of this game, and, people people love to, go after the inactive people first, so hoping that doesn't happen, so just put that out of the way. That aside, I do think Chris is a very personable player from what we've seen, because while I don't think in his first season he was ever anyone's top priority, I don't think people were willing to let him go either until he was literally up against the winner of the season, Danny. So for this season, I want to see Chris kind of like put himself in a power position. Like, I would be really excited to see how Chris handles an HOH, because I don't think he won an HOH in his first season, but I want to see what he does from that position of power and how he handles like people making deals with him, as opposed to him being on the block and having to go to those people instead. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing him do this time. And we also have another player from season 4 that they were on opposite sides for most of the game, so it'll be interesting to see.
Very opposite. I think they were like.
From what I remember, Chris linked up with that person towards like final 8, like the last few rounds that he was in the game, and they kind of had like an unofficial 4.
Yeah.
But that 3
Were they
that was insulated within that 4.
rivalry of the season?
Potentially.
I'm gonna check on that while we're just.
They might be rivalry of the season. But yeah, very excited to see Chris back and excited to see what he does this time around. Hello, Jacob. Welcome back.
No, I just wanted to come back on. I was like, I'll try to make this quick because I'm like mid this and another game that's going on right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Chris, very excited and interested to see him play. I feel like he was the pawn star of his season, but I feel like he had lots of instincts. I think he had Noel upsides. Like, he would lose a close ally, then we would pick up like a new one. Like I do with the other person he played season 4 with. He was able to reconcile with them. Like, they were adversaries at the beginning, but they were able to kind of come together and kind of make Chris the honorary fourth of that alliance that ended up running the season. So I do think that it's going to be very telling to see how he adapts this time. Maybe he might be in a very similar position. He might be in hot waters at the beginning. He might end up in the minority, but I kind of think that this cast may be more favorable towards a Chris here. I don't know entirely his relationship with like Al, for example, because I'm pretty sure they played Thrilltopia together. Chris V wasn't on the game for long, but Seb seemed really excited to host him and have him on the cast, or seemed very positively of him. So that being said, also has Seb here, so I think that's going to be an interesting relationship to see foster. Also has that connective tissue with Al because of Persist. I know they didn't play together, but I know Chris is very close in like the Persist sphere, and might know some things through like hearsay about like how well I did. I'm not sure. That was just I really don't have many complaints. Again, with like all of these favorites, it's just like questions of like, will they fall victim to the same thing that lost them the game last time? Chris was, I think there wasn't that many people who were fighting for him, and it came to a point where like he was just people like projected lots of thoughts like and what made him threatening onto him. Like, people were like, oh, like Chris is this big physical competitor. He's a comp beast. He literally only won one challenge. Like, and
Yeah.
like, did deeply well in like a bunch of others. But like I hope he doesn't fall victim to that here as well. But just excited to see Chris. Happy to see Chris. Love Chris. Thanks for saying yes, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did look. The rivalry of the season was the women on the cast and Alex that season.
So real.
But the honorable mentions, the top honorable mention was the
Chris.
other person we have, and Chris.
Yep. Okay.
So that will be fun to see how that plays out from that rivalry. And like we know, Chris was my prod favorite from that season because of him fighting from the bottom and how he was trying to adapt, and he did adapt. And there was times like where we were like, oh, he's getting out, and then he doesn't.
Right.
I remember even as we were, I was setting up everything for this season, and I put for the Facebook like the placements that everybody got for their previous seasons, and I didn't believe that Chris got 6. Because for some reason, because I remember like loving watching him play because he was playing from the bottom, that he got out earlier like a Shane from last season, you know? So that's something that is there. I think that him not being around for the first bit of time may be a detriment there.
Yeah.
I think that's something that it's going to be hard to bounce back from, but I'm really hoping that he can do well. I feel like that's something, like he was really struggling last season. I remember being on a call with just Chris, and Chris just went, I don't know why people aren't seeing that there's other things going on.
Season 4 was very
stagnant
at times.
And I think that's something that I'm really hoping the stagnancy will not happen this season. And with the cast, I think that won't be an issue.
I think there's too many villains.
And so I
this
think
season.
that can actually work to Chris's benefit here.
I think there's too many villains for this season to be completely stagnant.
Yeah.
So
It's very fair.
yeah. Yeah. Liz.
Yeah. Listen, season 4 was a long season. I do remember, though, being pleasantly surprised every time I checked back into the house and saw that Chris was still here. So I'm really excited to see him in the house once again. It was just another, like, oh, nice, you know? I'm also a little worried about Chris being, like, mostly, you know, like, lower activity, a little more AFK, a little more unavailable at the beginning of the season because the house was so really against him in season 4. So I think that if Chris can rise above, as we've seen Chris do, as Chris's tend to do, I think, in Hypnotic, then I think that we could see another, maybe like at least another, you know, jury for Chris, if not potentially to the end, would be cool. Yeah, especially in a house as sort of like, I think boisterous is a good way to describe it, with everyone being very, not everyone, but there being so many strong personalities and fire starters, kind of, you know?
Yeah, I could see Chris being like the mellow one.
Yeah, and I think that that'll allow him to kind of like co-solo in the beginning if everyone else is sort of like, to put it in terms of the theme, if everyone else is having a shootout in the saloon and he's sort of kind of far.
Was Chris hero of the season?
I don't remember.
Chris was...
Yeah, he was.
Yes, Chris was hero of the season.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
So, Chris was hero of the season. Also got...
Your host favorite.
My host favorite was honorable mention for rivalry. And it actually was one of the noms for worst move, with trying to flip the vote onto Vicky to save Mike.
But
that's what screwed him over.
Yeah.
Like, for the rest of the season,
that was a bit.
Because he was in a fairly decent position up until then.
That's a bit of a write-off. We don't need to talk too much about that.
Yeah.
But no, very excited to see Chris. Okay, with that, we move on to our next returnee. It's your boy, Cody. Liz, actually, do you want to go first?
I would love to. So, Cody, my boy. Cody, and I always said it wrong, even within the alliance. Shino starters, Sino starters. I was a very sad behind little geek and didn't actually play Pokemon, unfortunately, but I was gifted a beautiful involvement in a Pokemon themed alliance. So Cody, I actually played 2 games with. I don't know if I mentioned it during my season where I was a player of Hypnotic, but we actually first played in BB Disney together, and we were on opposite sides of the house. And then in Hypnotic, pretty much as soon as the house chats opened, I got a message from Cody that was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like we weren't long enemies in Disney, but we were definitely on the other side of the house. And Cody pitched, like working together this time, just to see how it felt. Not as like a we definitely should because we know each other, but more of like a let's see how this works because I think we could kind of cooperate well. And it worked out great. It was a great alliance. Had a lot of fun in it too. With which being composed of 2 very strong players, very strategically minded players, and also me. I think is could be sometimes tricky in a different house or with different players to have as much fun in a very like strong playing alliance. I think, or strong playing with as strong playing players as Cody and as Chriso. So I know from experience that Cody can pull in players from previous seasons that they were on the other side of the house from, which I think would be interesting to see this season, based on someone else who's coming down the pipeline pretty soon. Yeah, so I can't wait to have Cody in the house again. It's gonna be funky being on this side of it now. And I'll be a little sad I can't just pitch things that might be happening because I know what's actually happening, but that's okay.
Please don't do that to our players.
I won't.
As much as I also want to do that, because I also love Cody. We played we played 1 game together. We were
Probably each other's closest ally.
we were each other's closest ally, and they got absolutely sniped. Oh wait, Julia is also was also in that game. So
She was.
So we got that.
She helped blind.
We don't need to talk about that. It's whatever. Who?
I forgot. Wait, no, I played 3 games with Julia. That means I forgot about that one.
Well, now her assessment is a lie.
Yeah, sorry. We got to go back.
Okay, no, but Cody's a very interesting player. I feel like because while he's very good at he's very good at a couple things. He's very good at making you trust him. He's very good at making it clear that he's sticking with you, and he's very good at making it clear who he wants out. And most of the time, I feel like has like the arsenal to win those fights because we saw that with Sergio in the pre-jury of season 3, which was a very fun fight.
Oh boy.
Right, exactly. Where I think Cody can sometimes falter is he'll tend to either try to align himself with people that don't have his best interest in mind, or he'll overthink a situation. And I say that by bringing up what I would say is like a defining moment in Hypnotic, which was the vote swap that he used that it didn't save his ally, but he was like so sure that it was going to happen that he accused us of reading the votes wrong.
I did not know that he did that. I do remember that happening and being
Oh yeah, he came
bored.
after Chris got voted out. He came to us and be like, "But guys, I think you made a mistake. I used the vote swap." And we're like, "No, we know."
Well, we are aware.
We are well aware that you did
The
that.
loyal player.
I will say, just as a random note, because I'm back now. They did a whole ceremony. Y'all didn't even change to a different person by the time we were done. So we're doing. It was good. It was great.
Oh, that means we're spending a lot of time. Okay,
Yeah. But
Cody.
I have words to say. So Cody was somebody whom I felt was like the perfect, like, he could be all-star, he could be second chancer.
Yes.
Like I think he has upsides and reasons to identify as either or. I think that Cody demonstrated a lot of strategic ability, and despite constantly being on the block, was a contender. Like he put in a lot of good work. Like getting Becky to side with him during the fourth round when Logan got sent home. He did lots of good work to obviously fostering that relationship, that trio of himself, Chris, and Liz, and forging those relationships, with your Wesleys, your Mike Fees as well. And seemed to be, I think, what was different and what was interesting between like Chris O and Cody is I feel like Chris O was the better positioned in the whole, in the grand scope of this game, whereas I think Cody was better positioned within that like side of the house itself. Like Chris had other relationships outside of them. Cody didn't really have as strong of ones, aside from maybe like his relationship with Morgan, which I think was the only one he had over Chris.
If
But
Yeah, I think
if
if Joanne doesn't win that like final 9 HOH, he has a good shot of making like final 4.
possibly,
There's
um,
also one I think that Cody would have over Chris, and that was Benji. But
Yeah,
that's because they had this weird rivalry. That's besides the point. I'm gonna say anyway. Continue.
so yeah, so Chris is, I mean, Chris, what the fuck? Cody is somebody I'm really interested to see play here. Obviously, I already mentioned that Seb was here. They won um
they won wheel
fucking wheel
together.
together. They played the collective with Timmy, which is another favorite that we have here on the board. So that they had like a pretty turbulent relationship during that game, despite being the last two left of their circle and kind of being forced to work together for a good chunk of the game, or just for almost roughly as long as I was in a circle of two during my OG season or during the season I played with him. Um, and one thing that might befall him is he is so clearly schemy. Like he's so very
He's a
clearly
schemer.
strategic and is
Yeah,
clearly a threat, like, physically. Because he did really, really well during the first season of Collective, did really good in Wheel. So he has the ability to trump that strong physical prowess, like he can win a bunch of challenges. And yeah, it's just I could see him just being too much of a threat to let go farther. So I could see him get taken out if he does make it to jury, roughly around the same point, or because there's enough people who are privy to that information, know what he's capable of. Um, he has his fellow season 3 mate Joanne on here who might be just like, nope, 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 not working with Cody. Nope, fucking let's get him out. First
that's
chance
true.
we get.
They were on different sides of the house.
Like that could be a situation that happens. There could be your Timmys, your Julius. It's like I don't want to deal with this. Maybe I don't know why you think Al and Cody are going to fight specifically. That tracks.
Just 'cause I feel like
Just a vibe.
they're both very strategic players, and they're both. I feel like their play styles are going to clash, and they're going to like call each other out. I don't know. That's just my like weird theory. I feel like we did this once where we said, "Oh, these two people are definitely gonna." Oh, it was Joanne and Juan, where we said these two people are definitely gonna work together, and then they formed like one of the tightest duoships of the season. I think I'm just chasing that high at this point of like making one preseason prediction and hoping it happens.
Fair.
But no, very excited to see Cody back. With that, move on to our next.
No, I have not said anything about Cody.
I thought
That
you
is
talked about
very
Cody.
rude.
I am so sorry.
Wow.
I thought you.
Anyway,
Continue.
I think
Go on.
Cody's gonna do great.
Is that it?
So I think Cody. So I did pull up stats from previous seasons for these people with like any awards that were given to them, anything that's kind of been showing why they're back for fans versus favorites.
Yeah.
Cody was your host favorite.
He sure was.
Cody also won Strategic Player of the Season.
For some reason.
Because he has the strategic mind. I think sometimes where he does lack is seeing things from other point of views. So like what's going to be best for
Yeah.
somebody else. Because they're very stuck in what I need to do here, and they're really good at that.
Mhm.
They're really good at knowing what their best moves are. It's just factoring in those slight things there, like, oh, like maybe I don't fully have this person, and how can I fully have this person? Which is what happened with like Joanne and Juan.
Mhm.
Like, because that's something that does lack a little bit. I'm not saying he's bad at his social game, because they are actually really good at their social game,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, it's kind of just more seeing things from a different light there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited to see him back. He was given Rob's juror, because
Like I said, he makes Final Four, I think, if Joanne didn't win that tournament.
yeah, no, I think that, and I think I also agree with what Jacob said. Like he was good on one side, and I think that also goes to being seeing his strategic point of view and not necessarily others.
Yeah.
So I think that's a detriment there, but I'm really hoping that he's doing well. He's been very active in the Proud Chat already, and I love that. I always love watching Cody in games. I will do anything for Cody to be in a game, and I will host him every single time. I do not care. Anyway, next person.
Okay. All right. Next person. I think we have.
What?
Who's our next player? You know what? We're gonna click.
I know who our next player is.
I know who it is.
I think I know.
Along at home.
It's Issa. Let's go, dude.
Yeah, our this is our only representation from season 5.
And you know
And-
what? What representation it is, because Issa killed it last season. I'm so proud of them. No, so Issa came into season 5 having never played a single game before, and it took them a little while to get started, to like really like get in the swing of things. I think like there were a few weeks in the pre-jury where they were like maybe like the second or third lowest as far as power rankings, just because of like not really active, not as active as some other players. But then at a certain point, it was once Live Night happened and their closest ally Shane got voted out, like a switch flipped, and they became like such a well insulated player in the game that they had like both players on both sides wanting to protect them and like giving them the ability to choose like which direction to go to. And I was going into finale night expecting Issa to win, but I think the jury just wanted them to had been playing for more of the game. I think their early game, I'll say inactivity, was a bit of a detriment to them in the eyes of the jury, which is totally fair. Coming into this game, I feel like it's gonna be more of the same, because they're coming into this season with no players from their original season, so they can't really rely on anything from that. Jacob, you'll have to help me out with if they have any connections from playing Spellbound.
No, they don't.
Nothing like that. Okay, so they're going in completely blind then. And with that, I think that means that they're just going to I feel like it'll be very easy for them to learn from their mistakes, be a little bit more active this time. I know they said that they were very excited that this is a Wild West theme. Even saying in the Spectator Lounge, guys, you can't just do a cowboy theme without me. And you know what? They were right. They were right, because we couldn't. And that's all I gotta say about that.
So here's the interesting thing about Issa. It was because they played Spellbound, they didn't make it all that far. It seemed like their activity was still like nerfing them, like kind of like weakening their grasp on the tribe. But they get sent home in a round where the tribe target safety without power, so they just leave tribal,
Yeah.
and then what it comes down to is 3 of the 4 people who are vulnerable are on the Zoom, and one of them is not, and the one that was not was Issa here, which
Right, so
if
they
they just
got like, yeah,
like there's the thing, and it's so funny because it's so symbolic, and like of like what Issa's problem was during season 5, and like just the solution to it was so simple. It was just show up,
let's just show
be
up.
there. It's like that. I mean, like I guess it's quite literal with Spellbound and what end up resulting in their early vote off there. But like I think that once they really came alive, they started winning competitions. They found themselves in the trio with Sanam and Pierre, one of the most volatile haphazard players I've ever hosted across all series is that I'm on prod for. And yet constantly, time after time after time, Issa is on the chopping block. Issa is vulnerable. And every single time that's come up, Pierre said no.
That's what
I'm
I'll
not
give.
doing
Yeah,
it.
that's one thing I'll give Issa a lot of credit for is
Yeah.
because like I feel like most of that cast last season had no idea what to do with Pierre, and then I
Yeah.
think Issa knew like exactly what to do. Like Pierre wasn't taking Issa to the end, but also Pierre had two chances to cut Issa and then didn't.
It's like I thought was like both in isolation these moves were fine, but like together was like obviously Issa won the final
Right.
situation, cut Pierre. That's a ruthless move. Like this guy was the difference between them staying and going just these last two rounds and saved you both times, and then you just
Right.
snipe Pierre, which was the correct decision because at the time Pierre was the favorite to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was also going in there, expecting Issa. Well, Issa was the favorite going in there, and
Right.
Sanem kind of
The
like
Nam just had a fantastic.
yeah, just
final
fantastic. Which like Issa was no slouch either. I can't recall a moment where like someone went in there as a favorite and still held themselves. Like like they put up a formidable fight. It's just like the alternative option was just so well spoken. So Issa, you can argue, despite them being the only two vote runner up rather than not getting three votes, you can argue Issa's actually the closest to winning Hypnotic that anyone who hasn't won has ever come to.
Yeah.
You can argue.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's like that was I think the first time we went in thinking that the other person was possibly going to win.
Yeah. I had like I was like completely shocked how like that ended up switching. So
Yeah, Jacob, I don't know if you were done. I was just
The long story short, I just want to see them be more active. I think when they're very endearing, they're very likable. They're an ally that I think most people will want to scoop up, both for the sake that they're still relatively on the new side of things. They really, if you really want to count Spellbound, I guess you can. But like I feel like people will just say, oh, they only played Hypnotic, and that is it because Spellbound they didn't spend much time in that game. So I just hope Issa sees in which round she did in what I want Issa to look back at their last season of Hypnotic and know which phase of the game they were doing really good in and which phase of the game they were doing really bad in, and not do the same things they were doing in the round that they were really bad in. Because I remember they volunteered to go up as a pawn week 4 against Drafts and didn't campaign at all.
that
Which-
was a
Insane to think that they were. I mean, they pulled it off. I mean, they did the damn thing. But there was a world where like that does flip. That was considered at some point. I just don't want Issa to get that comfortable and that lackadaisical strategically.
Yeah, that's something that like I do worry a little bit just because, and this is something that's happened more recently, like after we have already casted Issa just got into a show.
Mhm.
That might take up a little bit of their availability, which was their detriment beforehand. I really hope that they are still going to be willing to like do a lot of things. They still have like been at least active in the prod chat and everything, but active in prod chat is also different than active in the game. So it does worry me a little bit for them just because of this new situation that has occurred. Which I mean, good for them. I can't wait to see them in the show. But yeah, no, I mean, I was really proud of Issa last time, and like how they started to come into their own, and I think they still are coming into their own, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was really excited to bring them back to Fans versus Favorites. They were hero of their season because they were the only person who did not crash out, but they also did some moves that you were just like watching and being like, what? Like, I don't know if this was mentioned because I was making things, but Issa said no to an alliance.
That's true.
Like, I remember an alliance was proposed to Issa, and they just went,
Nah, that's
no,
all right.
I'm okay.
Like if I had a nickel, it's funny because they're not the only favorite on here who's done literally the next favorite we have also did the same thing.
We'll talk
Yes,
about
I
that. We'll talk about that later. But yeah,
But yeah, no, like that happened, and it was like, what? Like, but at the same time, it worked for them.
yeah.
Like, it wasn't something that like I remember
Bonkers.
being gabber-flasted.
Gabber-flasted, indeed.
My gabbers were flasted, flabbergasted. Yeah.
You got that.
You know, all of that jazz. But no, I'm so excited to see them play again, especially because like at first they didn't come into their own until that live night. So I want them to kind of start early, because once they were coming into their own, that's where it shined, and I'm really excited to see them again. See if they get duo of the season again as well, because they got duo of the season with the winner last time.
Great. That was a great deal. Yeah.
And yeah, that's really what I have to say.
Liz.
Mona Issa!
Mona Issa. Let's
I'm
go.
so fucking excited to have Issa back in the house. I thought that they brought a really excellent vibe to the house. I did not know that they're in a show, which is both exciting, and I feel like someone as like charismatic as Issa could use that as a talking point really easily with people to like start conversations or kind of like, you know, like have a little bit of a shield for being a little AFK, but at the same time, you're AFK for a reason, so I don't know how focused they'll be on the game. I also, I'm wondering because I was not aware of them in Spellbound / that doesn't count, apparently. But them having been gone as far in the game as they did in Hypnotic, specifically being back in Hypnotic, I'm wondering if it's going to put a big target on their back, you know, especially because they did kind of like start out in Orgs doing incredibly well. I'm wondering if that'll have them being seen as a much bigger threat early on than they were last time. If that makes sense. Because I think that like when you're new in a game, there's this energy of like everyone thinks that they can use you as a number, or that they can like kind of buddy up to you and cozy up to you and get you on their side. Now, having gone from being a newbie to being like placing very high, I think has sort of rocketed Issa from like that, you know, like little cushion of newbie safety to now you're being watched carefully because you represent a bigger threat in the game, I think, immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next player is Joanne, the first 3-time player of Hypnotic, if we were counting the mini as well.
That is true, and also the first person, I think, right, to not be voted out.
To never have a vote cast against them, but get eliminated.
Yeah, but get eliminated in a game. Yeah,
Yeah.
for mini.
Actually, Joanne's had an interesting like history of getting eliminated from Hypnotic, because she had the rock draw, and then also had what I'm still saying what we were saying is one of the lesser moves of season 3, because if Mike nominates, you know, Morgan and Benji, the very obvious duo, at the final 5, then one of them goes home, and Joanne probably makes final 3. So, fell victim to that. No, very excited to see Joanne play. I think of our collection of first-time players that we brought into the community that we have in the favorites, with Joanne being the second one, and then the third we're going to talk about in a little bit. Joanne's game, I think, impressed me the most because of how fluid it all seemed to be. Like, it was very clear. It was very clear who she was aligned with, and that was, you know, people like Juan, and to a lesser extent, Benji and Morgan at a certain point. But then it was never really clear who she was against, and I think for some players that could be a detriment, but for her, I think it worked out very well because everyone considered her a number until it was too late, and she was able to pick a side successfully, and I think she pulled that off really well. And again, like I said before, the only reason she ended up getting out was because she was seen as a bigger threat than this duo that was obviously working together and never going to turn against each other. I think Joanne's going to be one of the more fun players of the season. Like we've been saying before, we have a lot of villains, people that are going to play more villainously. I don't think Joanne's going to play a hero or a villain, but I think she's going to be the one that's going to be trying to make the vibe the most fun. You know what I mean? Like not really looking to like screw people over just because, but also not like playing the game very like willy-nilly or anything like that.
Yeah, I am interested to see how she works with Cody being in the game.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that.
Just because they are the two people from Game Wars that are being represented, and they were kind of okay, like in the pre-jury stuff,
Yeah.
up until that Wesley vote out. Because they thought they had Joanne. And that was like the detriment was thinking that they had Joanne. But Joanne, like you said, she picked a side and it was the right decision for her. And she actually is probably one of, if not my favorite players to ever play Hypnotic. I think when we were casting this Fans versus Favorite season, she was someone who I was like, I don't know if I want to cast her for Fans versus Favorites because I think she would be so good in All Stars. However, if we're also deciding between like her and Juan for All Stars, because not wanting to see probably one of the best duos that has come out of like the game as well, like that neither of them have won. Not wanting to see them play again. So I'm really excited to see her with this. She's also a Patsy Cline impersonator, like a tribute act. And she has a lot of like country stuff. She like did a lot of stuff with Dollywood, she says in her intro video. And that's actually, I met her right before she went to work there. So like I've known her for a few years now. No, so she's actually also, I think, really excited for like a Western-y theme, just because of like what she does for a living, basically. And I just am so excited to see her play again. I'm so excited to see her join forces with a lot of people. I just really hope she does well, and like. I'm excited. I'm really excited for her.
Are both Jacob and Liz busy?
Hello. I have jumped back into chemistry land, but I am able to take a moment. Oh, hi, Jacob. I'm able to take a moment. Joanne, I'm very excited to host Joanne. We played in the same season, and we were kind of on opposite sides of the house. But I always loved her vibes so much.
I think you guys might have gotten Rivalry of the Season or something.
Did we get Rivalry? I think we got like maybe nominated for that.
Or at least nominated, I want to say.
Oh yeah, actually. Both were nominated honorable mention for Rivalry, just because you guys were just not working together. But
yeah, we were very successfully played opposite each other, which it was, I think in a different house, we easily could have ended up in, this is just based exclusively off of vibes. But I feel like in a different house, we could have easily ended up in even an alliance together, you know? Or at least like hanging out a lot more than we did in the house we were in, which happens, you know? So I'm really excited to see Joanne in this house specifically because of something I mentioned earlier, because of my boy Cody. Because I allied with Cody after being on opposite sides of the house in a previous game. And so I'm wondering / hoping Cody will be able to kind of pull the same, for lack of a better term, trick with Joanne here. If I remember correctly, for Joanne's actual gameplay, she was very honest, which I appreciated because I am very gullible and easy to lie to, at least to me. Like I remember once we got down to brass tacks and we're talking about like what alliance we were in, where we're leaning, I never felt like she was trying to mislead me. I felt like there was information she didn't necessarily want to give up, but never that she was actually like misrepresenting who she was aligned with, which I think in a house that's otherwise very ripe with kind of like, morally neutral, I think. Morally feels like a bad way to say it, but like, you know what I mean? Hero versus villain, like kind of neutral leading villain people. that might give her a lot of, a lot to work with, I think, in terms of, you know, standing out from the pack in a way that can maybe bring her some strong allies, which I would love to see. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have. Hell yeah, Joanne, welcome to the saloon.
Yeah.
Welcome to the saloon.
Jacob, I know you might be in the middle of things. Oh no. Oh no. Okay.
Check the chat just in case.
Did Jacob say anything? Jacob did not say anything. We'll assume he is also very excited to see Joanne back.
Well, Joanne was his prod favorite.
There you go.
So,
So, if he was here right now, he'd be like, hell
if
yeah.
anything, we can move on and then go back if Jacob has
Yeah.
pertinent things that he needs to say.
Right. And speaking of pertinent, I don't know. It's Joel. Okay,
So excited.
I want to start this by saying, like, I think Joel's one of those people, when we started planning for a returning season, we were like, man, wouldn't it be fun if Joel came back? Well, one can only dream. And look at us now. I remember season 1 was a lot of people that we had already known, and then I think Joel was like the one player that most, if not all of us, were like, man, I don't really know how this guy is gonna play, like, and how he's gonna interact with people. And he ended up giving us one of the most like interesting villain games that I think to this day that we've still seen in Hypnotic. Like, he just had this way of talking to players to make them think that they're doing the right thing by helping him out. Like, one of my favorite moments from season 1 was when the underdog at the time, Mikey, won HOH, put Joel up with, I think, the intention of getting Joel out. And then after Mikey won HOH, Joel pulled him into a one-on-one and was somehow able to convince Mikey to use the veto on him.
Yeah.
But, like, I remember that happening. That whole round was crazy, but, like, that was, like, absurd. Like, I don't know how you do that. So I'm just so excited to have him back. Like, again, like I said before, did not think we would be able to get him back, but he agreed. We're so happy to have him back. Just one more person into this house of villainous types, but I feel like he's going to be more like the dastardly type, the kind that's going to be like playing people, but like having a smile on his face while he's doing it, and like, I think we said this with someone else before, twirling the mustache a little bit.
Okay. So
Do you have stuff to say?
I know that Liz might not have as much to say just because we didn't do a an interview or anything, and Liz was not around as much for this season, or was not on prod. So Joel was my host favorite. I loved watching Joel. Also got social player of the season because of how they were able to like maneuver certain things. It did lead to people thinking that he was a weasel or a rat or something. I mean, like Keaton thinking that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I loved watching him play. I think he was such a good addition to the first season, and I've been wanting him back ever since. What place did he get?
At 8th, I think.
8th. I think, like, had there been some other people who possibly wouldn't be, like, you know, like, All-Star-esque, I would have put Joel on All-Stars.
Oh.
But that would have been me, because I adore him, and I loved watching him play.
Yeah.
I still don't know how he was able to maneuver certain things that happened that season, especially with, like, getting on the block, getting certain things done there. It's so good. It was so good. And, like, he's also proven he can win competitions or do really well in competitions.
Oh yeah, one of the main reasons he got out was because Keaton like hacked the system and was able to nominate 3 people in 1 week. So he just nominated Joel and like the 2 people that would save him.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and then but one HOH and veto, and then the like veto 2 weeks after. Like he's fairly good at competitions too, so I'm really excited to see how that can also come into play. And also, I don't remember exactly the relationship that he had with the other person from season 1 that we have. So I'm excited to see how they play again together, if they even remember each other, because this was
A
quite
long time ago. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for that.
Liz, anything about our season 1 player Joel?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 second, Caitlin. Sorry, we were talking about organic molecules, which I'm using a lot of
So
vulgar
real.
language to explain. So
So
real. I am very much the newest pod member, so I didn't get the opportunity to see Joel in the OG season of Hypnotic. I've heard wonderful things about that season, of course, from my wonderful fellow prod members. So I'm excited to kind of see someone come into a later stage Hypnotic House, like a season 6 Hypnotic House with season 1 energy. I'm just curious, you know what I mean? I'm going into this.
Well, we were saying before. We were saying before he was like very like Weasley, but in a fun way.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's gonna be fun to see. Okay, I'm excited. Oh, I love a little weasel. Okay, I'm excited to see Joel. Does Joel lean more hero or villain, do we think?
Oh,
Villain.
villain.
Okay. I love like a weasel little. I love to see
He's a
Joel
hero
link up
with
with
my
Baby.
eyes.
If it
In
wasn't,
Heather's heart, Joel is a hero.
if it wasn't for one other player on season 1, Joel would have been villain season like easily.
Ooh. I would love to see how Joel plays with V, to be honest. If we've got some solid villains playing against each other. I don't know if they would be a wonderful toxic, not really toxic,
Did
you know
we
what I
say?
mean, but like,
Did we say that was the villain duo ship that we
Oh,
wanted?
I was saying Jonathan and V, but Joel can join them. Like, the trio.
It's a
oh my
trio.
god, trio! Oh, a little purple. I love it. I'm excited to see this. I wish I had more intelligent feedback. I'm just excited. Star-studded cast here.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going back to organic molecules. I'm sorry, everyone.
That's okay.
We've been taking a little bit of time, so I don't know if Jacob is around.
I think Jacob's busy. Jacob likes Joel too, though.
Joanne and Joel, when they come back and see Jacob said nothing.
Guy, Jacob, why do you hate me?
Okay. We can keep track of like who Jacob has not said, and then Jacob can monologue for a bit.
for
Yeah.
a bit. And with that, we move on to our next player, and it's
Which I'm
Kaden.
upset Jacob's not here because Jacob has more to say about Kaden than anybody.
Right, but we can start. We can start it off at the very least. I will say I do love how we have. All right, so from our 2 representatives from season 4 are the hero and the villain of the season.
Yeah.
With
I
Kate, with
did not realize that, yeah.
Caden being the villain. So Caden is the third of our little trio of players that played Hypnotic for the first time because we brought them into the community, or played Hypnotic as their first game because we brought them into the community through Hypnotic, and then like blew us out of the water with like how impressive their game was. They were an integral part in the 2 main alliances of the season, and were very good at. I think their 2 strengths were they were very good at knowing exactly when to pivot to pivot from group to group while maintaining their core group, but then also talking to people in such a way that it made them think like they were with them. One of the big moments from their original game is I remember they were on the wrong side of a vote flip, and not only did they win the next HOH, but then they were also able to talk to the players outside of their main alliance. And I don't even remember what they said, but they were able to talk to them in such a way that made them turn against each other when they really should have been working together to take out this big majority alliance. And that was a really impressive display of social game. And they ended up getting fourth place, and honestly, they only ended up getting fourth place because one of Caden's alliance members were just too scared of them and going up against them in the final two, which I think is a hell of a compliment, no matter, how it how you get out or what placement you get. I think because I've seen Caden play a few other games outside of Hypnotic, I think one thing that could be to their detriment is that they are not afraid of making their feelings about someone be clear. I know that they had a little something going on with another player from season 4 that then spilled into the next game that they played together. Don't need to go into that, but I could see a situation where Caden's on the block, they stay by a majority, but then like one person votes Caden out, and then Caden will not rest until that player gets out. I could see Caden being that vengeful, and I worry that might detriment their game, like that kind of bluntness. But overall, I think this is going to be a really interesting cast for Caden to work with, because I think we have a good amount of people that are going to be shifty, and I don't think that Caden's going to have that strong alliance to rely on like they did in their first season, but I don't think they're going to need it this time. I think they'll have enough room to maneuver.
Before I say anything, Jacob, can you speak on the past two and Caden?
Oh, okay. Oh, are we going back? Because
Just quick.
Talk about Joanne and Joel.
Okay. So on record, Joanne was my gonna go back. Okay, so Joanne was my host's favorite during her season. She was, I think, a very underestimated player. Like even like the awards, I feel bad because I feel like Joanne deserved more than she actually got, like even from us. Like I wanted to harp on all the elements of her game that I feel like were praiseworthy. She was somebody who I very rarely ever disagreed with from a strategic perspective. Was she the most what's the word I'm looking for? Graceful socially. She did some things that I think were suboptimal from a social perspective. Again, like turning down an alliance from Eric, the round that Eric was trying to like forge that bond, and Joanne was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." Didn't have the greatest relationship with the other side of the house, so I think it would have made it difficult for her to win a jury vote. But within her circle, kind of similarly like to Cody, like she was very well insulated and adored within her side of the house. And I think that she is somebody who it seems like lots of people who are like we're very excited to see around more. I think Joanne made a big splash. So I think that there might be a lot of people who are just like, oh, you're Joanne. Like I don't know. I maybe I'm just maybe just the circles I'm running in. Like because like as someone who's hosted her before,
Yeah.
I've had multiple people ask me, hey, can you get Joanne to play this game? From like Kaleidoscope, Deception. Zab's asked me to try to get her on board. Like, and I have other people just being like, oh, that Joanne chick, yeah, she seems really fucking good. Let's put her on. So Joanne, I think lots of people are going to want to work with her. I think is one of the safest people who I would say should make jury as long as she's being active. And I know Distortion, she was a little bit paranoid. Don't know how much of that mess is going to come out, but we'll see. Move on to Joel real quick. Joel was, because Joel, I think, got done very dirty. That man was painted as a villain for absolute, like he had Mikey use the veto on him when like it was Mikey's age during the round that
We just talked about how like he was seen as like a weasel, but like in a fun way.
my man didn't do shit wrong. Yet they were just so pressed by Joel convincing, hey, hey, I'm in danger. Is there a way I cannot be in danger? How dare you, Joel? Like, fuck you. Like it's insane. Just because it was so interesting seeing him kind of like play with like the jazzy Sean Alley side of things, kind of end up on that side of things, just due to how I guess aversive he was on the other side. I think Joel will get a fair shake here. It's actually funny. We're talking about Joanne and Joel because they were both on the same season of Distortion. Now, granted, I think Joel was the first boot or one of the first boots. I think maybe second. And Joanne, I'm pretty sure, was on his starting tribe. So
Ooh, okay.
I can like double check to make sure like I'm like correct on that. But while I'm actually, let me just pull this up right now, just like so I can know for sure that's exactly what happened. Um,
I think I was in
yeah,
Joel's
yeah,
tribe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Joanne voted for Joel, so like I don't know if that's going to be a particularly aversive relationship. It's like, oh, I remember you. You voted me off with the rest of those fucking jamokes. Like I could see maybe that being an aversive relationship, but I think Joel will want to keep his options open. I think of the favorites here, he's arguably the most fluid. I never. I could never get a good read on who he was most loyal to because ultimately, I think his highest loyalty was to himself. I think he would and do anything that doesn't serve Joel, and if it means cutting you in the process, Joel has no problems or reservations about doing that. So now we can move on to Caden, who I'm really excited said yes or like
Hey,
wanted to do this
Hayden,
because
if you're watching this, sorry we had to interrupt real quick, but we're
sorry.
back.
But Caden, I adore, loving Caden, one of my favorite people on the planet. And similarly to Seb, and Caden, I did not think was going to play games. Period. After not to say that like we did something like to make them not feel like they had fun. Like clearly they had lots of. They were very proud of the game that they played. I think like during the awards, we gave them the flowers that they
Oh,
deserved for
yeah,
playing as strongly as they did. And very rarely do you see someone who is so strong in the strategic element of the game, but so clearly have flaws in the other two elements, do good almost solely due to their strategic prowess and them knowing what they should be doing. They forged some really good bonds outside of the Secret Society, had that really good relationship with Tawny, had a good relationship with Jesse, and those make up a vast majority of the end gamers here. And very similarly to Joanne, I agreed with most, if not all, of the things that they were thinking strategically. They were correct. They should have taken out Danny instead of Jesse at 5, or especially taking out Danny at 4, because Danny would have mollywopped or swept the floor with the people who executed that move, in which Danny does beat Jay. And whether Danny beats Caleb is, I think, is still a little bit wonky, but them taking Caden,
yeah.
they had way better odds at beating Caden than they had odds at beating Danny. So, like, they were very clearly aware of Danny's win equity, and he was probably the only person who was cognizant of that fact. So I
Right.
think that's also
Yeah. That's a good
that's
point.
some
Yeah.
that's something I need to give them credit for. But in Kaleidoscope, they were more and I saw in Kaleidoscope that game be more evenly matched with Caden's side versus the opposition.
Mhm.
And Caden was for sure, and kind of similar to how we were talking about like Esme, was kind of someone who was really good and really well insulated within their crew, but did not pretend to give an iota of a fuck about the rest of the other people on the other side. So they were the targets of the opposition because
Yeah.
there's no world where they can flip Caden or coerce them to be on their side. I could see that being a similar issue here because that was an issue during their OG season. Like the Danny, Dime, David, Cody side of things did not really care about Caden all that much for a vast majority of the game. So I could see them potentially, you know, falling into that trap of kind of being stuck in a box. Because we named lots of people, even just the two I was forced to like recap again. I'm really sorry. You could argue are very fluid in their own different ways. I think Joanne is not afraid to have a conversation with somebody whom she may not buck with, but with a plan. She comes with an attack. Joel, I think, was very fluid with people and was very open to playing with anybody. Hey, Keaton works for me this round to be my number one. Then Timmy could be my number one in the next round. Caden, I think, in Kaleidoscope, lots of those flaws flared up. And I would say if it was just Hypnotic, then they did come in. Like even having conversations with people that they didn't particularly trust and was able to sway them maybe to do something that maybe that wasn't in their best interest and could appeal to people strategically. There's lots of like Vanessa like upside when it comes to
Yeah.
Caden in that regard. But I do think that just I don't know if we're gonna see hypnotic Caden because it was very luck dependent. It was very depended on who was winning the competitions, who found themselves in power each week. Because if there was a world where Dimes, Davids, those people were in power, Caden does not go nearly as far, of course, versus how Kaleidoscope played out when it's not as comp or reliant or dependent on who wins competitions. They got taken out very early. So I am very concerned for Caden actually in the grand scope of the favorites. But if there's anybody who can logically explain to someone why something is dumb and why they shouldn't take them out and talk someone out of voting them off, it is Cade.
I think
That's the person.
as long as the game itself isn't like side versus side, I think Hayden will be fine. And I'll leave it at that. Liz, have you talked on Caden yet?
Hello. No, I haven't talked on Katie yet. So season 4 was a long
What a time
season.
that
What a
was.
time. So if I remember correctly from season 4 itself, what I remember, I actually really liked watching Caden play. Caden was one of my favorites personally. I can't remember if I had them as my host favorite. But I'm just seeing Alex pointing at a screen, so I'm
I'm
wondering
checking to
if
see
someone can call me on my shit.
checking to see if you put them as your host favorite.
That's super fair. If not, then I apologize. And if so, I was right. Uh, Now, I think that for some of the season 4 people, I actually went back and double checked their interviews to kind of like reinforce my original vibes. And if I remember correctly, Caden mentioned some villainy, or Caden featured some villainy, which I thought was funky because I don't always, like my favorite players aren't always the villains. So I love having like a favorite player that is a villain that played, like well and very directly, but also very clearly like out of self-interest. I think that's fun. I think it's fun to watch. I think it'll be interesting to see how Caden plays in this house full of like seasoned veterans and big game moves and careful strategists. Because in my mind, I always see season 4 as being a little more chaotic and a little more like kind of luck based almost at times. So I think it'll be really interesting to watch them play in a more, hopefully, depending on how the season goes, more maybe structured house. At least that's where I'm.
Less structured house, like not as many like clear sides.
Oh yes, sorry. I was thinking more like, yeah, no, less structured in terms of like less clear sides, more structured in terms of like everyone playing more carefully. I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, they were your
Yes.
host favorite.
They were. Okay, I was right. And I'm always right.
They were host favorite, they were villain, they were strategic player, and also honorable mention for both Robbed Juror and Potts.
And
Yeah.
best move, I'm pretty sure.
And best move, yeah.
Yeah.
Best move with like telling the minority info.
Caden like did the shit.
No, yeah.
They did the
I
most.
think they were very successful in their season. I don't think I talked on them yet. And
Also, last thought, they seem to be bringing some newbies into the house, and I love that. Sorry.
yeah. No, I'm excited to see Caden play again. I know they were also one of like the people we were like, okay, fans versus favorites or all stars, and I think like timing wise, now is like a good time for them to play.
Yes.
Less about like that they wouldn't be on All Stars, because they definitely could be, and they still could be in contention, especially given how if this
We'll
season
see how this
goes
season
well,
plays out.
and
Yeah.
if anything, like looking at certain things, yes.
I was going to say that I kind of wanted to look back at this because I wanted to confirm this. Actually, the highest ranked person, like in all-time power rankings, that's come back.
Okay, so this is
Caden's
they have
ninth.
the highest power ranking, which makes sense because isn't Caleb like
Caleb is like second.
yeah.
No, Caden's ninth. Caden's the only person who's in the top 10. It's Caden, then it's Joanne, who's at 12th, then Issa, then Timmy right beneath them, and it's Joel, Cody, Chris, and then Topher.
Yeah, I was like,
Cool.
Topher's gonna be at the bottom, but we'll get to that.
Talk to him soon.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to see them play again. I think that they're going to be very well insulated, like how they were last time. I just really hope that they kind of also see to feel the need that they can backstab people, because I think that's also something that was a detriment in their
Sure.
last game, is they were so trusting of the final three that they had, which was
yeah.
one of the most dominant trios that we've ever had.
Yeah.
I think not one of, it is the most. And they were very tight, but then Jay was the one who kind of was willing to make those cuts. And I think Caden needs to figure out this time that they're willing to make these cuts.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that needing that more fluidity rather than the more insulated kind of stuff would be best fit. That's what I have to say. And then we're on to the next person, which we'll get there, but I'm also getting a snack.
Okay, Heather's getting a snack, and we're moving on to the next player. And the next player is Timmy.
Okay, so I need to go first because I still have like, I feel like I have like backup from like all of the cast
Go,
assessment
go,
that
go,
I've
go,
done. Okay, so Timmy, he has I hosted him in Spellbound. Obviously, loved him here. He was my host favorite actually in both of those games. And definitely was in consideration during Deception. He won pots there as well. I have not hosted a weak Timmy game.
Yeah.
He's gotten 6 first fit. Like he's done good in all of the games that I've hosted him thus far. Timmy is like still to this day is the holder of the best winning game that I've ever hosted. And Timmy played I have no complaints. I have no faults of it. Anything I could have like nitpicked, I was like, I just struggle. I had a hard time doing that.
No notes.
Timmy is no notes. 10 out of 10, no notes. He is one of my favorite players, and who I think I honestly like is for the philosophy of the game that I like. I think is one of also an underrated choice for one of the best that I've seen and I've hosted across my long tenure. And someone whom I felt was good at all aspects of the game when he needed to be good at them. Because there's players who come in here, they're triple threat, they're great at all these things, but they're terrible at hiding it. They're very obviously a threat. They don't win when it's necessary, and they overextend and stretch their social capital or their strategic ability on things that are just not worth it. Just almost like to flex, almost like to micromanage every little minute detail. Timmy is not that kind of player. Timmy's a very chill, rational, logical player. He's really good strategically. He's very charming and easy to talk to socially. I think he's going to be he's a very warm, like very genuine, like presence, and people will be drawn to him. I think he will be the person who I'm looking at the fans and I'm like, I struggle to see a fan who will not connect with Timmy on some level.
I agree.
I think that he also has an advantage because not only does he come in here with someone from his OG season, unlike a Topher, unlike an Issa, with Joel being on here, but I think that because the game is so far out that any bad blood there could have been if this was like season 2 or season 3 that they both came back and were playing together has evaporated now. So while Joel and Timmy weren't on the same side of things by the time that Joel got evicted, that was so long ago, and I could see them being able to be like, okay, look, let's try to make this work, right? I think there's lots of people whom, I mean, a part of me wants to be bold and call him my winner pick because he's also another person who I think is safe to make it to the jury phase, and I'd be really shocked if he doesn't.
He got second in the mini.
Didn't he?
It did. I forgot that.
I've literally never
He's
hosted
also
a.
a three-time
He's also a
player.
3-time player.
We
Why?
have 2 3-time players.
I guess he'd be the second. 'Cause
Yeah.
Joanne would get announced first.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So adore Timmy. I don't know. I just can't sing his praises enough.
I'm gonna say this. If we have if we put this entire cast on the scale of hero and villain, I could see a world where every player falls on the villain side of things except for Timmy. Like there's no he's like the outlier. No.
Of the favorites. I mean, I guess Chris did kind of get hero, but I feel like Chris was hero by circumstance. Issa was actually
I can't
Issa and
see
Timmy.
I can't see him playing a villainous game because first of all, he's so sweet.
I've
I love
seen
me some
Timmy
Timmy.
play a villainous game before.
But like he does it in a way that doesn't make you feel like you got
Want to kill him? Like,
like
yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
like I don't know, he has a way of being personable with people like that makes you feel like you're being listened to, makes you feel like you're his best friend. And like and honestly like he might like have do that in a way that will make it true at some point. Like we were saying for other people's before, I could see Timmy playing a very fluid game when he needs to, making those connections. And I think you're right. I do think the favorites, if they're going to play the oh man, I gotta stick with or the fans, if they're playing the game of like, oh man, I gotta stick with the favorites, like they know this game before, I could see Timmy being that person for like half of them.
Yeah. Timmy is one of my favorite people in this whole community. He knows this as well. I think my longest friend in this community, really. And Timmy knows I would die for him. It's fine. Like, literally just one of the best people I know. And I kind of was thinking I wanted to compare a little bit with another person on this cast with Julia, where they both have played a lot of games. They both have like are fairly well known throughout the community, but I think that Timmy's really good at maintaining a reputation of more so being a good person than necessarily a like really good game player, but like he is a good game player.
Oh, yeah.
Like the thing is like he has a lot of like good things, like whether it be wins, whether it be getting far in games. I don't think he doesn't make jury often. Like I'm not worried about him making jury at all. And I think that's something that like he has this like resume and all this stuff to back it up. But people don't see that when you're talking to him, or people don't see that when you're playing a game with him. You're just like, oh no, this is Timmy. Oh.
Sorry. You can continue. I was just like waiting for once you're done. I was like, oh, I have something to say.
It's my boy
Okay.
Timmy. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm actually really excited to see them play again, or at least host them because I've seen them play other times.
Right.
Very strategic, very sociable. I don't remember being as well on like a physical side. I don't think he does a lot of comp stuff. Question mark.
I think Henry needs to,
I think he can
but it's
needs
not
to.
like
It's not like
the thing people know him
biggest
for.
thing. Yeah. Yes, Jacob.
No, I was like he's never the most threatening on any like facet of the game. Like
Yeah,
you're not gonna
that's a
think
good way to put it.
like he's not like if you're thinking like oh like that's this person's a strategic threat. You're not gonna name Timmy first. If you're gonna think of like oh I need to get rid of the nucleus of the house, like the most well insulated. No one's gonna say oh Timmy, he's playing the best social game here. And if you're gonna take out a comp beast because like it would better your odds at potentially winning it to power yourself, you're not thinking oh I need to take out Timmy in order to achieve this. I think that is a benefit. Sorry, continue what you were saying.
No, I think you hit on the nail there, and I am excited to see how like he reconnects with Joel, like see if there's things there. I'm excited to see how he forms bonds with some of the newbies because, I mean, the first game I played with him was my second ever game, and this is, I think, some people's like very close with that or like first things. So I'm excited to see how a lot of newbies actually do connect there as well.
Liz, you want to share some thoughts on our pal Timmy?
Hello. I'm sorry. I'm talking about functionalized hydrocarbons now.
Well, we were doing it too, so it's okay.
Okay, sick, nice. Anyway, they're strange. Timmy, another one I've heard many good things about. Right, this is our friend Timmy.
Yes.
Sick. I've been following along at home. I've heard many good things about Timmy, and in my notes I had it because I am coming to this a little on the blinder side because Timmy was another season one, if I recall correctly. Ish. So I wasn't sure if he would actually be an ally with our other season 1 player, Joel from the OG.
Yeah, we were
Or if
talking
they
about that
would.
because they were kind of on opposite sides of things.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean, I'm hoping that with, Cody and Joanne that they ally together. So I think it'd be cool to see that with especially because we have some like pairs of, alumni. So I'm wondering if it'll happen somewhat quickly in like the climate of the house for all of the pairs to kind of like start to line up together just for like a safety in numbers thing. But yeah, I'm never sure, especially with the earlier seasons. So I'm excited to see this. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we get on to our last person now?
We can get onto our last person because if you're looking at the timeline in this video, we've been talking for a while. But we have one last player, and that last player is your boy Topher.
So our only representation from season 2.
And our only representation from the pre-jury, which honestly, like, there's like no reason they should have been pre-jury. I really don't even know what happened in the round that they got out.
We've been wanting to bring Topher back, I think, since he got out.
Like the moment he
Like
got
the moment
out.
he got out, we were like, wait, okay, let's
There's
figure
no
something
reason. Yeah.
out here.
Yeah. Topher got out in one of like the craziest rounds in Hypnotic. Like there were 4 nominees at one point, and then 3 nominees facing eviction. It ended up being like a 5 to 3 to 1 vote, which I think is the only time that we've had, because like Hypnotic is no stranger to having 3 nominees on the blog.
Oh wow.
Right. But I think that was the only time that we had all 3 nominees receive votes. And it ended up having like one of my favorite quotes in Hypnotic, which was something along the lines of Topher saying, "There's no reason for us to have our one-on-one chats. Or everyone's so open to this game. Y'all should do your strategizing in the house chat or something like that."
Something.
I'm definitely like butchering it. But no, I love Topher. He's such a good guy. And like we've had a lot of great conversations outside of games. Inside of games, Topher's such an interesting player because he can be very direct with you, but at the same time, it's done in a way that like even if he's against you, it's like you understand, like you're not gonna hate him for it or anything like that, which I think can be both a good thing and a bad thing, because I think, like I said, it's a good thing because it's very clear where he stands, as far as like, is he with you, is he not with you? But then I think it can be a bad thing because it can place him on the outside of the house or the group, if things don't go in his favor. And then also, I think that it can be seen to some players as being too forward, like putting yourself out there a little too much. And I'm trying to think, with this house, I really don't know how that's going to work. Like I think of the favorites. I have a good idea of how they're going to play. Obviously, with Topher being in like playing Hypnotic for the smallest amount of time of our favorites, we don't have a ton to go off of. But even so, I don't really know how exactly he's going to play with this group. That feels like it's going to be like a very chaotic and very sneaky bunch.
Yeah. Jacob.
So Topher is someone who I have been wanting to host again for quite some time because after his very impressive stint in Spellbound, which I still think is the most competitive final 2 that we've had in that series, it's him versus Julia.
Wait, it was Julia.
Julia
Oh,
versus Topher, and
okay.
I remember because I went into that finale like not knowing where I was gonna vote.
There was inadvertently the swing vote in that position because it seemed like the other three Julia votes were like locked. Well, I guess some of the Topher votes were also Julia votes going in, and Topher gains them back. But point being, like, this does serve as a segue to one of my concerns about him because, like you said, like he has this way about being direct and being very forthright about how he feels. But I think that there will be points of times where like he's kind of like this compromises his win equity because I saw this as a problem a lot. He would make it to the end, so it wasn't just Spellbound. It was also CTC when he made it to the end. It was also Wheel to a lesser extent when he made it to the end. And there was another game he made it to Final Two in within that span. I forgot which one it was, but he lost that one as well. So we kept seeing him make it to the finale, being able to pitch his case, and his case be quickly dismissed because of how he treated people in the game. He was a very villainous player during Spellbound, and lots of people would understand relatively why other people didn't protect them, but a lot of people left the game specifically mad at Topher, whether it be how like he treated them on the way out or how above and beyond he went to try to fight for them to stay in the game only to like burn them for no reason. He is somebody whom I am interested to see because again, like you said, like he's played the least amount of Hypnotic of all the favorites. Everyone else I think has made a big splash in their respective seasons. As far
Topher
as like
definitely made a splash.
no, he did make a splash. No, I agree he did. But like in the grand scope of things, like I'm not looking back at season two and thinking like, damn, you know how much Topher shaped up that season. Like I'm looking at other people who did this because he was taken out. I think before he could really leave his stamp on the game. He's not in the DVD cover. It's essentially what I'm saying. Like I feel like
I don't
Topher.
know. Is he the Bob Dog of the season?
If we had to give a DVD cover spot to a pre-juror, I think Topher is the highest
Oh,
ranked pre-juror
100%.
in the power rankings because like he really did have so much like demonstrate lots of potential.
He's one of our most robbed preachers, like,
I
period.
mean, I think he is the most
The most-
ranked.
I think he is the most. Because I remember not thinking he was going to be getting out that time, and we were actually at a drive-in movie. Our other pod member at the time, Zach, was the one hosting,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
we tuned in during Into the Spider-Verse 2. Like,
I think I was like, yeah, Jeff's going this round, and then nope.
The votes just get no, like because I remember I wasn't even like around. Like that this was like how I was there to see Marvin in real time decide to use the veto on Brian. That sent Nick out the door, season one. I
Yeah.
was there for that, and y'all didn't see it. I was like, I did not see any of what happened. So I come back online, and then it's like, oh, who got sent home? Topher. I'm like, what the fuck kind
Yep.
of voodoo magic
Yep.
had to like get
Yeah.
Topher the unencumbered out? But
Yeah.
also another concern I have for him, I don't know how in it mentally he will be. If because when he's in it, he is invested. He will be more into he will eat, sleep, and drink Hypnotic if he's allowed to invest that much energy and direct that much attention to this game. But I know that the traders took a huge toll on him. I know he also opted to walk from the collective. Grant, don't know what happened there for him to do that. But it like I don't know where he's at mentally. You know, if he's in a good headspace to play this game, and that's why I mean he had many opportunities to say, you know what, I can't play Hypnotic. But he's still opting to do so. So I'm hoping that he is there and he's checked in and ready to do what the hell he's got to do. Um, no, I'm really excited to see Topher play because strategically he's very cutthroat. He's very cunning. I think he's very methodical in mapping out the whole thing. Is like, okay, well, what if I do this? What will happen here? What's the ripple effect? What's the cause and effect of any move or any single decision he might make in the game? I'm gonna shut up now because I'm rambling at this point. Heather, say
yeah, I played with Topher a few times, and I think Topher is a really fun person to just talk to. I remember like in Spellbound actually, like we did get on a call together, and it was actually like a really good call, and I felt really comfortable, and wanted to get back to that later on, but you know, things happened there. But yeah, no, Topher's really good at things. I think that I think I actually talked about this with Jen while Topher was in Wheel,
Mm.
because I think we were like private messaging about like how he got second again and everything like that. And I think
In Wheel?
Was it Wheel?
Because Wheel All Stars, yeah, that was the game I was missing. Because like there was like a 5 game span
Oh, yeah.
of 4 finale appearances. It was Wheel, Wheel All Stars, Spellbound, CTC, and then like a game in like, the
Yeah.
middle.
I
think
blocked
it was
out Wheel All-Star, Wheel All-Stars. It's
The
fine.
thing is, part of it is how he also presents himself at the finale. And that's something that, like, I think in Big Brother, because I haven't seen him play as many Big Brother games. I remember Wheel vaguely, but then again, we blocked out that specific season.
That's, yep.
But yeah, no, like, I think that also with the last season he was on, there was that detriment of like a lot of connections. And that's something that I do worry a little bit about him this time as well, because there are quite a few connections he has here. Like there's Seb, there's Julia, there's I think he's with Timmy too. Like
Yep.
there's quite a few connections there, but there's a lot less than there were in his first season.
Yeah.
So I think that actually will help him through this. So I am excited to see where that kind of goes there. Because I feel like in a hypnotic sense, he's probably the biggest wild card. And we've been wanting him back just simply because of how robbed he was. And that's what makes him a favorite.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta have that, like, you know,
Come from behind underdog.
that Caleb in Game Changers.
That's an interesting comparison.
Just kidding.
I think the better comparison, and not to say I'm comparing Topher to this player with how he actually played when he came back. I remember when David like got out as early as he did in VB21, people were devastated because he demonstrated so much potential in the short time that he was like. And ironically, I think it was week 4 when the camp comeback thing came up.
Hey, did you use
And it
the
was
power? Did you use the power on me? Did you use the power? Sorry.
That is an example of what happens when you show lots of potential and don't live up to any of it.
Right.
That's not what Bob's saying. Like that to me is like, oh, David was somebody who, like, recency bias aside, was like, he showed so much potential. Like, why we need to give him, like, he needs a second chance because he got
Yeah.
robbed for very different reasons. I mean, both were twist screwed, but like different types of twists.
But this case, I feel like this is where he's going to fit in better than David did in the All-Star House.
Imagine Topher gets 8th though, like to bring the
I see
comparison.
what you're saying. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to see how this pans out. I think because, and this is more just a general scope of the season, how we have like a lot of people, when they are from the same season, they didn't really work together or they were on opposite sides
Yeah.
or had some sort of like rivalry or something like that. I think that might be something that lets this game be a lot more fluid than just fans versus favorites. And I think that's also why we chose a lot of the favorites that we did, is because like we can see that they're going to be able to mesh well. It's not going to just be a season of actually fans versus favorites. It's going to be fans and favorites rather than that. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for tomorrow and getting everything, which everything is uploaded and I have all the chats made.
Liz.
I think Liz is in Kenland.
Hi, sorry, we're talking about organic compounds that smell like rotting fish.
That's okay.
Topher! I love Topher's vibe. All I have here is I love heard many good things again. I'm so sorry. I'm not bringing anything for the vets of the true vets of the game. I have written down that I love Topher's vibe around the Discord. I'm excited about that.
Topher's a very supportive fellow.
Yeah, Topher gives off great energy around the Discord. I'm hoping that translates to a very active player in our game. I think bringing great vibes in a high active player can really, really, really set the tone of the house. especially since Topher is kind of familiar with our Discord specifically already. I think that's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is Jacob?
Composing with Jacob real fast, and that's the rest of
Oh,
my
he's doing
assessment. I
okay.
think.
Okay, and then everyone say it with me. Round and round we go. Round and round we go. Round.
I'll clap, but I'm confused.
Oh, it's his action shot.
That was his
Ah,
action
I
shot.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's silenced in the video, but like
We know what it is.
we know what it says, and those who can lip read also know what it says.
Yeah, and it's funny how he goes from dumping slime on him and Slimageddon to
Round
Round
and
and
round we go. Round and round.
it's that and Joanne's howdy like that.
We have there's so
Are in my brain and itching it. Just great.
Did she do that in her action shot too, or did she do it in?
no, just in the intro video, but that's okay because people can hear it.
Yeah, good. Okay, good.
All right. And with that, that is our cast for Hypnotic Big Brother Season 6, Saloon Showdown, fans versus favorites. Oh my god, we talked for a while about these people, but that's okay because we had a lot of things to say. If you're watching this and you watched through the whole thing, no you fucking didn't. Don't lie to us.
I will watch through this whole thing once I get access to the recording because I'm a
That's
maniac.
right. No, so again, this season will be starting tomorrow night. We're excited to see if these predictions hold true. They probably won't. We're probably going to look back on this and be like, oh, how did this person? They were like, yeah, they're probably pre-jury. They won or something like that. No, we're really excited to see what happens with this cast. And just can't wait to get the game started. Liz is also very excited, I can tell. It's okay.
Chemistry.
Chemistry, so real. All right, and with that, we will see you guys later.